SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 340. I'm your host, Spencer Presley, and joining me is the most 6 out of 10 guest I've ever had in recent memory. You used to call him Larrue, you used to call him Larry. I think it's Larry U now?
It's Waru now because I'm always not.
Oh,
Waru.
it's Waru or
Yeah.
or Warrants.
Yep.
Any real any slur version of the name, we'll go for it. But Larrue, what's up?
Hey, I'm doing good. Did you know people call me Lauren? That's the one that gets me the most because I think it's funny, but I don't get it. You know what I mean?
I mean, how would you feel like? Do you think like a Lawrence might be better fitting, or like Lauren the lore master? Is it like for the alliteration?
I think it might be because someone called me lore, like as in just lore, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, is it because the name is spelled weird? I don't know. I kind of prefer Lawrence because it sounds funny.
I don't even know if you. I mean, I'm sure somebody has asked you what is the like origin of Larrue.
It's okay, so it's really dumb because I used to be into D&D a lot, like traditional, like, you know, meetup every Thursday type D&D, and one of my characters was a changeling bard, and I used to do this thing where I would just Google Translate words, and I was like, okay, well, this guy lives in the street, so let me look it up. Like, what's the street in other languages? And then in French, it's Larrue, and I was like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I just did that, and I was like, okay, well, this bard's name is Larrue, and then I just kept using it. Yeah, I don't know why, but I was like, okay, well, that's just gonna be me now.
So now, if you ever go to France, you're gonna have to take a picture of yourself on Larrue Street.
Yeah, that'll be good.
But yeah, man, you survived Anime Expo. You survived the blistering heats. Your wallet getting robbed on a constant basis. How's life been treating you? You've been working, I think, at least on 19 different videos at the same time.
Yeah, it's, you know, that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is sick and they go to the doctor and he's like, oh, you're at this thing where you have everything all at once, but it's all stuck in the doors. That's kind of like my life in general right now. It's like everything is just there. And
I'm just imagining your Mr. Burns hamburger moment was Sega blessing you with the most cursed collab no one asked for on DX2 this week.
yes, actually, that's gonna be my ruin. I spent money on the game, and that's crazy to me. I usually don't spend.
Do you want me to edit that out of the show? Are you okay with admitting that publicly? Is that okay?
As long as your audience isn't mean to me about being a whale.
I mean, we literally talked all about. So I had Lucky Slime on last week. We talked about because he plays a lot of gacha games, which I'm always shocked about because he does a lot of like trophy guides.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, for a game that's not even like your main thing, like P5X. Like, how much do you think he spent so far? And, like, reminder, the game's only been out for, like, 3 months in Asia.
Yeah.
He's already dropped, like, hundreds on it. I'm like,
Oh my
wild.
God.
I cannot fathom.
I spent $10 and I didn't even get any of the what are they called, confidants, or I don't know what
You got Oops All Akechi.
Yeah, I got like this one. I got the owl a whole bunch, and I was like, thank you. Like, he's like the only one I didn't want. But I spent money on this. Well, I mean, I didn't spend that much money. I spent $25, which to me is a lot. That's a lot for a game that I kind of hate, but I play anyway. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel, though, like, from it getting announced, so, like, for everyone out there who doesn't know, DX2 clinging to the most relevant, hottest anime properties known to man, because it just came off of, the second Berserk one, or was it the third Berserk collab?
They've done the Berserk one. I think it's 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah. So they just came off of Berserk and DX2, the Gacha SMT Lite mobile game. Uh, I mean, I don't even know if they teased it. It really did just feel
It
like,
just
okay,
dropped.
someone
Yeah.
threw. It just felt like someone did the like collab dartboard meme, where like 80% of it is filled with Persona 5. Reminder, everybody, DX2 still somehow hasn't fucking collabed with Persona 5.
Or Megaten really. It did this weird thing where it'll add demons from a specific game, but it hasn't done like
Let's be honest, they've basically done an SM5 collab with the amount of demons they've added from that game.
yeah, it's that, and then like Devil Summoner 1 is like the two things I feel like they draw from the most when they want to get people hyped again.
Mm-hmm. Slash to get you to reinstall and hopefully drop another 25 bones.
Yeah, I mean they're not gonna get me to spend money. I've been playing since beta, and I've literally only spent like maybe $100.
That's not bad. I mean, the game's pretty old now at this point. It's like what, almost 10 years?
No, it's 6.5. Like the anniversary that they're doing right now, the Madoka Magica.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
It's so weird. I don't know why they celebrate the 0.5s, but yeah, that's what they're doing.
So, I mean, but like again, like I was saying, you had pretty good luck. I mean, you already pulled Madoka, so like,
Yeah.
really, like what else is there for you to do?
So I got Madoka, I got Homura, and now I just need Walpurgis Noct. And it's annoying because they actually made them good in the game. So what they always do is whenever they release these collabs, they always make the newest collab like the best demons to use, and to incentivize the actual players versus people who just buy it because they want it. And I need all three. It's just a thing. So I'm hoping that with the gems you get weekly, I'll be able to pull for it. Because otherwise, I don't know. I might spend money again.
I mean, you have a while though. Like it's almost like a full month at least. So like it's at least going a while.
Yeah. But it's just annoying because I basically only played for this thing, Democalypse, which is like a guild-based event where you just do damage to a boss, and whoever does the most damage, you get the most amount of things. I basically only play for that, and occasionally just to try to win new cool demons, but I almost never win anything. So I came back to life just for the Madoka because I love Madoka that much.
I always forget to like check this out. Do you recall like who does the English translation for it? Like I almost want to say it's like Atlus Japan. Well, not Atlus Japan, but like the Japanese developer, like who does it, basically does like an English like version of what the other translations they do.
See, I would have to look at the credits, but I think it's either outsourced or it's I think they just branded as Sega now. They don't credit it as Atlus on this for some reason.
No, yeah, I mean DX2 is I don't think ever even had the Atlus branding on it. It's always been a Sega game.
Yeah, so I think I probably put credits right now because I have it open.
I just am always curious because like I will every now and then I remember like when Jagralia lost and like Blue Archive and like other ones like that, like I'll see mobile localization like announcements on Twitter, but like if you put a gun to my head, I'm like I don't think I know a single staff member who does the like localization on this game.
That's actually a really good point. I don't know.
Because I know it's no one in the Sega West offices.
Yeah, for sure it's not. That's why I think it's outsourced, and I can't find the screen that actually shows the credits. There used to be a credit screen in the options menu. It's weird.
So while you're looking though, because obviously don't have too much to say about like Madoka Magica, but I had two questions. Number one, for anyone out there who might not know about the wonder, the depression, the pinkiness of Madoka Magica, what's your elevator pitch if anyone has never heard of it but might be morbidly curious?
Okay, so like even just the most stereotypical pitch would probably be if you like Edge, like let's say that you're because Edge is probably the worst, probably the word.
I was gonna be like, when you look at Madoka, you better think Edge.
Okay. When you like dark, and let's say you're kind of you're in that mindset of something like Evangelion, which deconstructs like mecha. Madoka is that, but better. Actually, I think Madoka is way better than Evangelion.
Damn.
Which is crazy because I love Evangelion as well. But
I will say they both are a great. I think both series are a good example of if one of the things you like about Ava, like, is this subjecting of the expectations and the norms in the genre.
Yep.
Like, Madoka does a really good job of that.
Yeah, and it not only that, but it's also well written enough, and also has like all the other hallmarks of good anime. The characterization is good. The animation quality and the style at which it's animated is very unique and like visually stimulating. The music is good, and it's quirky, but quirky without being annoying. Because there are some things that are quirky and it kind of like puts me off. But Madoka Magica is like the kind of thing you could inject into my veins, and I would be perfectly fine.
Now, did you like the story bits that you've seen so far for the new characters?
Oh, as they appear in DX2. No, because it's dumb. It's basically.
I will say DX2 not really great at translating characters one for one. I learned that the hard way at DMC5.
That and the other thing that they do is they just have like really corny writing. Like it's like these events are written by AI almost, because literally the way this event even opens up is just all the DX2 characters being like, I love magical girls. I would love to meet a magical girl. And then they're like, hey, we gotta go rescue this magical girl. And it's like, really? That's how you write this event? Like, you'd think they would have some sort of like like something happening that would connect them together, but instead it's quite literally just, I like magical girls. Hey, look, they're magical girls.
It's like, it's so funny though, of like, I'm continuously shocked at like how much I still see for Madoka Magica after all of these years, because it's like, it's not like a show that's just been running nonstop. Like, obviously there've been movies and like spin-offs and other things like it, but it's been really kind of interesting kind of just comparing it in the sense of like, I mean, what, there's 2 games, a novel, a bunch of manga, and some movies and stuff, but like, it's not like it's this thing that's just constantly been going.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a living franchise. I do know that there's a movie coming out like this year, actually. It's like the sequel to the other movie or movies. No, I think there's like 3 movies. So this is the 4th one, maybe? That's coming out.
Yeah, the one coming up this year is, I think, Rising.
Yeah, Rising. And it's I'm very like, you don't understand how excited I am for Rising, but it is not really a living franchise. It's not like your Naruto or like your Dragon Ball Z, where it's very popular and also it's ever present. It's quite literally in hibernation 10 years out of the decade.
I would just love to know how and why this collab like happened, because like it's almost to the point where it's like, I gotta know like who lost a bet or who brought what over first, because like, it raises so many questions in my brain.
It's one of those things too, because the other collabs are also kind of unusual depending on what it is. Like there's some that I just don't even know I don't know what the anime is, so I don't know how it connects. Like there's just one with like I don't know, there's like this weird demon one, and I don't know what anime it is.
Another obvious collab I cannot understand they have not done, Yokai Watch.
Yokai Watch, okay, well Yokai Watch would do numbers, but also it's,
well, not anymore.
Yeah, maybe not
10
anymore.
years ago it would have done numbers, but yeah.
I would love Yokai Watch. For this one, I do feel like it must be a thing where they're friends with the director, or they're like getting paid to do it, or like, I don't know, because even them getting paid, I'll be honest, the models for the characters are kind of ugly. They're like some of the worst.
Oh yeah,
3D models.
I saw the one for Madoka. I'm not gonna lie, I think it might just be an asset rip from that PlayStation Vita game 10 years ago.
I would not be shocked, because this is coming from like an ardent fan who wants to just put on like his fanboy glasses, but no, it's objectively terrible to look at. But I'm also like, at least she's here.
But I'm just like imagining like the really cursed collab only party someone has on DX2. It's like they've got Virgil, Sonic, Guts, and Madoka on it.
But then there's also those people from that Seven Deadly Sins show. Like, they're super
Oh
random too.
yeah.
Like I don't even know what.
By the way, big F's in the chat. I remember how sad I was when they announced they were doing Ghost in the Shell,
Uh,
and it was for the gross, ugly 3D one, not like the classic Ghost in the Shell.
yep. It was kind of the monkey's paw. It was like, oh, you're getting
I
something
mean,
cool.
the true monkey's paw would have been Scarlett Johansson in DX2. That would have really been the monkey's
You
paw.
know what? If you put a gun to my head and said choose a gross CG one or Scarlett Johansson, I might have went with ScarJo. I don't know. Is that a hot take?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just looking at all of them, and I'm like, I would say, because even Berserk, like, I love Berserk, but, like, bro, Berserk was already a dead anime by the time it was put in there.
Yep.
I would say probably the only relevant one they did would be the Ava.
This here's the other one I was thinking of. Overlord. That one was the other weird collab.
But Overlord, I almost feel like kind of fits though, like the mythical ness of it.
It does, and I did see an Overlord cosplay, and I didn't know what to say to her. I was like, "Oh, I love your cosplay," because I was like, I only know it from DX2, so I don't know what she is or anything about it. I'm just like, "Oh, look at that DX2 cosplay."
It's just like every time I like hear anything about Seven Deadly Sins, I know nothing about the show other than when like randomly on Twitter people will like get those compilations of like the people who are in very auspicious relationships with people way too young to be with each other.
Which I don't even get me started on that. I was noticing a lot of Inuyasha cosplay, and I was like, why do they keep putting Shishomaru with that little girl? And they're like, oh, that's because in the sequel they're married. And I'm like, what?
Yes. Thank you, world's least needed sequel series.
Yeah.
If you told me 20 years ago watching Inuyasha on Adult Swim that in 20 years they're going to do a sequel series that no one will like or no one will care about, I would have not believed you. I'd be like, no way. Inuyasha is huge. There's no way they're going to fumble the bag on this.
It's so insane. The idea that it even exists is so funny. Because
Well, like I think about the fact that like because people like to dunk on Boruto. Boruto is at least an interesting sequel series.
yeah,
Like Boruto does stuff with Naruto's lore that's interesting and like unique and whatnot. And at least Bleach has the common courtesy to not make a sequel series. Knock on wood.
yeah, you just willed that into existence. Just so you
I've
know.
it'll be, and just to be full circle, the artist for it, since Tite Kubo is too lazy to do it / too rich and doesn't have to, it'll be done by Gene Simmons' son, who was famously tracing his artwork back in the day.
Now that's a monkey.
That's true. So, final DX2 question. It has to be an anime that makes no sense, but what is the next collab that DX2 doesn't need but deserves?
You know, the thing that's annoying is that Chainsaw Man makes the most sense.
Oh,
but
and you know they would never do it. They'd have to actually pay money for it.
Yeah, they'd have to pay. So I'm trying to think of like a low tier anime. But I don't want to make anime fans mad.
If I couldn't say Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer also is another one up there.
Yeah?
Like, literally, like how are these not up there?
Yeah, they fit. They even fit aesthetically, like the art style. It all works. I don't know. We'll probably get something.
I'll tell you mine while you think of yours.
Yeah.
So I had a fever dream of this because I thought like the models would work and they wouldn't even have to like do anything crazy. I think if you woke me up one day, like my DX2 9/11 moment would be like Spencer turn on Twitter and I log on and I see that they announced Crayon Shin-chan is coming to DX2.
You know what's funny?
I'd be like,
Yeah.
I believe you instantly.
The thing about that is it would be another day one for me. I would be up at midnight waiting to play.
Well, like Shin-chan's a weird one because, like, especially with a lot of Western friends, like I followed Shin-chan before its English release over here, and like when people are like, so a great example is when the Boku no Yatsumi Shin-chan game came out, people were like, oh man, I can't wait to play this. And I'm like, you guys understand that like our version of Shin-chan is not what the real Shin-chan is, right?
I mean, yeah, no, I guarantee you most people don't even know.
I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Ghost Stories, unfortunately, does not have a lot of slurs and expletives in the original Japanese dub. But I'll tell you what, I don't know when it comes out. The fact that we're getting that on Blu-ray, lock it in. I'm buying that Blu-ray. Like, we should not be allowed to get that Blu-ray.
Yeah. Okay, I have mine. It's insane, but I think it makes sense. We need a Doraemon DX2 game.
Now that's a character who like everyone can collab with. Like he has no like minimum money deposit guarantee. I approve that. That definitely could happen.
Not only that, but they could do something like really ridiculous and make him like the strongest demon in the game.
Well, see, no, I was thinking like along with making him like really really strong, I was thinking that they would have like the Doraemon friends also be like demon summoners.
Oh yeah. I can see
Because
that.
like I don't think they've done any collabs where like they're also like non-playable demon summoning characters, are they?
No, it's always like the character is someone you could actually recruit. It's never like, oh, they're just the summoner for it.
Because I've always wanted to recruit my favorite demon,
But
Shinji from Evangelion.
I mean,
I love this demon. He's filled with depression and nothing else.
but instead you get to control his ghost mom. That's kind of nice.
That's true. That's true. I can appreciate that. But thank you, Larrue, for the yearly DX2 check-in. I don't know I don't know whose money you're laundering, Sega, but I'm glad the servers have stayed alive for another year. Keep doing the Warframe thing of always being popular without anyone I know personally playing it besides Larrue.
Hey, I retired playing Warframe, so you can't say that
No
anymore.
shot?
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask. You really did?
Yeah, I haven't played it in like a year now. I've been clean.
So a friend of mine, and I've been meaning to get them on the podcast, had never played until 6 months ago, and a friend randomly got him into it. She's addicted. It's like the only thing she plays. I think she's become like a Warframe whale of like, I think she's already spent like maybe over like $400 or $500.
Oh my god! And but I'll say that Warframe does a pretty good job of like $400 or $500 is probably enough to get most of the really good stuff that you would need.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, and also Warframe also I think does a great job of like, they do a good job of bringing you back with gameplay things as opposed to like little weird novelty modes. And like, I know it's not a part of Warframe, but like, I'm actually excited that that team announced their like next thing is going to be like a fantasy RPG. I'm like, oh, that sounds really really cool.
Yeah, I can get behind it. I'm not gonna play it, but I'm happy for them.
So our DX2 Power Hour is over. We unfortunately have to address the elephant in the room. Current Game of the Year contender for all the Did You Know Tenseiers out there. Your video's not out yet, but I mean we got to talk about it because it's still the latest and greatest hottest Atlus game.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck's your what's your explanation, sir, for that 6 out of 10 tweet about Vengeance? Who harmed? Did Atlus not give you enough money? You already got the game. What else do you need from them?
Well, first of all, I need to get those care packages again. And then we can.
That's true. If you got more care packages, that would at least bump that up to a 7.
My thing. Okay, so I was trying to explain to people because I think what's happened with a lot of people is they associate me with exclusively loving Atlus titles, and they don't realize that I just talk about Atlus titles on my Atlus title account. That's about Atlus. I like Atlus a lot. But the Band-Aid being ripped off the wound is that Atlus is not my favorite. And in saying that, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 games for me are very, very rare. Like, I can't even think of... I was trying to think of some of the list, but I didn't want to say them because I couldn't think of anything from Atlus that I think of as a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. For me, like... a lot...
Cubivore. Cubivore.
Oh, actually, Cubivore is weirdly good. Like, it's actually kind of... insane how underrated that game is, but it's dead now. So I will say, when I think of like a 9 or 10 out of 10, I think of a game that like there's like pretty much no flaws that are present in all gameplay. It's just stuff that's like bothersome in like very niche situations. And for me, that's a game like a Demon's Souls, which I know people are not gonna like say that that's a 9 or 10 out of 10, but for me, that's like a near perfect. And then when I think of games like Vengeance, I'm like, there are some positives, but it's only if you only play the Vengeance route. If you play both routes, which you're supposed to do, one route is deep and has all this content, and the other route is the same game as the original game, which no one likes. So people are saying this is their game of the year. I look at their tweets and I search SMT5 to see what they said about the original, and I'm like, how are you saying this is the worst game and this other one's the best when half of the new one is still the old game? To me, that's if you're eating a sandwich and half the sandwich is moldy and the other half is like I don't know, expensive ground beef that's like really rare. Like I can't even think of the name of that.
Like a wagyu.
Yeah.
Like a wagyu.
If half is wagyu, the other half is moldy, you're not gonna be like, this is the best burger I've ever eaten. You're gonna be like, I like this half. And I'm like, you got to be realistic with yourself. The Vengeance content is pretty good. There are some still huge flaws within the Vengeance content, but the fact that it still has the other half of the game being bad or unfinished or unrefined, and all of the things they did to address those are only present in Vengeance, it really drags it down a lot to me. And it makes it far from perfect. And although it's one of the games that I played this year, I can't say it's one of the best games I played this year. And I played.
I have a lot of
yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts with it, but I mean, I agree a lot with like the kind of consensus is really funny because like Twitter loves to bring up the like cycle of video game discussion of like everyone loves it, everyone criticizes it, everyone hates it, new game releases, the cycle repeats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that boilerplate, but I do always think it is really funny of like when I see people, like a great example is also like leading up to coverage, when I saw people out of Summer Games Fest or like the last trailer that they showed for Metaphor,
Mm-hmm.
like I literally saw a tweet, and I know that other people have tweeted like this, and it just boggles my mind that like they mean this unironically.
Yeah.
It's a picture with 4 images, and it's Persona 3 Reload, Vengeance, Metaphor, and Episode Aegis, and they've been like, goaties. Lock it in, everybody. Goaties. And I'm like, bro, we are at the not barely over the halfway point in the year. Like, I would be so depressed if you told me the best game that came out that year was a game that I played in June.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to look forward to other things. Like, will Assassin's Creed Shadows probably be my game of the year? Most likely not, but I'm still excited because it's like I want to try and jump into other things. Fuck, man, the way this year's going, if you, like, jumped ahead to January and I, like, told myself that Dragon Quest III HD was my game of the year, I would 100% believe you.
I'm actually pretty hyped for that, too.
Yeah, and it's so funny of like, and again, if these games are your game of the year, there's nothing wrong with that. But it is just so funny of like, it's really easy to see when people have the company blinders on.
Yep.
It always goes back to my thing of I've never had any problem with people saying like Persona 5 Royal is their favorite game. It just tells me about how you consume media more than anything when I hear that. Like, unless, like, and I've still never met anyone who, like, I've heard their reasoning for why they like it, and it's kind of, like, written it over for other things. Because, again, like, Persona 4 is my favorite Persona of all the time, but, like, I know that game people have a bajillion and one issues with, and I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never, like, that thing of I'm like, oh, it is my game of the everything, or it is my blah, 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 or whatever. So, it's been funny, like, for me, because going back to it, I have very, very much been a large defender of SMT5 since I played it at launch. I was like, this game has got some major issues, but I think it's taking such a crazy step forward that even with the warts and all, I still would like call that game like, hey, that is a hella good game, and you should check it out. So, of course, I was going to be excited for Vengeance, but at the same time, I'm not reviewing Vengeance at a 10. Like, it's like how when I would listen to people talk about Persona 5 Royal, it would be like they were at a 10 for Persona 5, so Royal just keeps adding on to the 10. There's no way to go below the original score.
Yeah, which is a very bonkers way to look at it, because you do have to have some room for improvement, and that's why I'm so apprehensive giving 9s or even or 10s. But my other thing is, like you said, like 5 itself, like I personally like 5. I already liked it. I just wasn't like super into it, and I also didn't super hate it. Like you said, it did a lot of risky things, and I think a lot of it works. Vengeance just went a little further with that and even more expounded on it. But ultimately, when you review it, you have to really think about it like holistically. And you know very much well that I strongly dislike DLC practices that are like predatory, and I also don't like re-releases in general. And this game feels like it should have just been DLC. Like it should have just been.
Oh, see, I almost feel like I've got more of a negative kind of thought on the release of it, and this is coming from someone I'm 3/4 done with Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, those new areas are big.
They're very big.
So I'm almost there, but like even with that, from all I've played and I've seen for it, when I'm playing this game, and I don't even mean this as like a insult, this is just genuinely how it feels. Vengeance feels like one of those insane total game mods. Like where you would like play a mod in Oblivion that like basically rewrites the entire story.
Yeah.
That's what Vengeance feels like. Vengeance feels like not a... Because like another interesting like one I put like... This tells me how much you're looking at these on like a realistic level.
Mm-hmm.
I saw someone make a post that was being like, it was the meme of, hey, let me copy your homework. All right, just make sure it's not so obvious that's the same thing. Comparing Vengeance and Apocalypse. I'm like, those are drastically different examples.
It's not the same thing at all. Very much not.
Like, at no point, like, because, and again, even with as much asset usage as Apocalypse is doing, it never feels like you're playing 4. It always feels like its own unique thing you're playing. So like Apocalypse Vengeance is always really interesting because like I'm just playing a better version of SMT5 because we have the hindsight of feedback in 3 years of game development.
Yeah. It just really it bothers me a lot because I'm not someone who likes to put anything on a pedestal, and I really, really go out of my way to criticize things I enjoy. So
well, except Jack Frost, though.
Yeah, except Jack Frost. Well, actually, not even him. I'm getting sick of Jack Frost plushes. That's a whole other topic.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a hot topic. I don't want. Hopefully, try and get me to hear that.
That's actually a cold topic, but I'll let it pass.
But my thing is, I think the joy of enjoying media is deep diving in and really thinking about what's good and what's bad. And when you're just like happy saying this is the greatest, and you can't even describe why you like it. It to me, that's just like a superficial way of enjoying things. And you can do that. You can eat a sandwich. I don't know why I'm talking about food so much. You can eat a sandwich and be like, this is a good sandwich. It's the best sandwich I've ever had. Or you could really eat the sandwich and be like, yeah, I think it's a combination of the bread, the amount of mustard I used, like, and the type of ham I bought. Like, I think that all makes it really good. Like, and you could do that and really digest it that way. And I think that that's a much more enjoyable way to talk about it than just saying it's my favorite sandwich. And that's what a lot of people are doing with SMT5. And that's what they do with a lot of these. And that's why I didn't make my video yet, because I'm not even hating on the game. I'm just super middle of the road. And that infuriates people too. People want to hear you say it's the best or the worst. They do not want to hear a nuanced opinion about it.
So I would say I'm at least definitely, from what I've seen so far, I'm definitely over a 6 compared to you. But I think another part, and it's a much larger conversation, is like you do not use a 6 the way people look at an IGN 6.
Yes, exactly.
Like your gamut of a review score is always so different, and like everybody's different. That's why, like, oh my god, nothing makes me more mad than like the people who were dunking on IGN for not having a review ready for Vengeance. And then even when it came out, them still giving shit about it when, like, they were reviewed by 2 different people.
Yeah.
Like, there's not just some dude who's named IGN reviewing all of these games, everybody.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing, too, because if I was going to go off the scale that most people use, I would say this game is like an 8, which is good sounding. But when I think about it for me, most Atlus games on my scale are like a 6 or a 7. Like, almost all of them. Persona 5 Royal is like a 6. But that isn't.
Yeah, where did Reload kind of land for you? Because I know you didn't love Reload or play much of it so far, but like if you kind of had to do like a gut check, where do you think like Reload is like a recent example?
Okay, Reload's like a 5, and it's because I can get into like my other thing about it is it's not just the game itself, but it's the context. The context of Reload is annoying to me because, first of all, if you're going to release a remake, at least make it a definitive edition. And to me, a definitive edition would have P3 female protagonist, like that whole thing, which I know it's expensive. I know it's hard, but that's, to me, what would make it definitive. And the fact that it's not a definitive and they've confirmed that they're not going to make her in the game at all, it makes the game worse significantly. Because now I'm like, okay, well, if I want to play female protagonist, I got to play this old version, or I have to play the AI upscaled version with compressed audio. Yeah.
I really hope there's like not anyone out there who unironically thinks they can just do the FemC mod on PC and that's the same experience. Like I really hope people, like if there's anything that comes from FemC not being in Reload, I hope it at least still leads to people still playing P3P.
Yeah, because the FemC route's actually interesting, and her social links like are some of my favorite in all of Persona. Like it's really weird that we're just never gonna get that like in a HD setting, or they were just lying and we're gonna get it anyway. I don't know.
I'd believe both. Like, listen, I'm ready for it not to be a thing, but if you told me a Switch 2 launch game is just P3RF, I'd believe it.
By the way, since you brought up P3, I need to ask you this thing. What are your thoughts on the Persona 3 and 5 dancing OSTs getting removed from Spotify? What is that about? I feel like you might know.
The music streaming thing is so weird. So I asked a couple of people around, and it looks like right now basically what's happening is, oh god, I gotta grab a copy because I always forget the name of this company. It's Nextone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so Nextone's been doing a lot of licensing updates and agreements.
Okay.
And so they're the reason a bunch of songs have been getting pulled. It's because I need to get relicensed and recertified before being put back up again, because God forbid Sega and Atlus not work with that company.
Oh, okay.
So they're not being pulled for any like malicious reason or anything crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this though, because God bless him, my one friend left at Atlus Japan, I still have, who's still at the company. I did ask them one thing, like my here's my inside scoop that's really going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Because when we were talking about music, I was talking about like other stuff that's coming up soon,
mm-hmm.
and like the one big one everyone's been speculating on,
Digital Devil Saga.
DDS has got to be coming soon. No, it's coming. It will not be ready on the anniversary.
Boo! Boo!
Which again, why did you announce it? No one made you announce it in January.
Yeah, in January, six months ago. Okay,
dude, news was really slow. Yeah. News was really slow. They needed like something on the Twitter bump.
That's not a good win. That's go back to just announcing happy birthdays if you need some stuff.
So, yeah, I would love to be proven wrong, but yeah, for all the copium people out there, we now got to go back to hoping for a remaster announcement to get the OST.
I'm still gonna cope. You can't make kill my cope until that day has passed.
I mean, listen, I just wanted to get people mentally and physically ready. You can keep huffing the copium. It's okay.
Guys, we only have 4 more days to wait.
So basically, by the time this episode comes out, people will then know if I'm either wrong or horribly right.
The comment section's gonna be like, "Yes, Spencer, we know you're right."
Can you imagine though? By the way, like everyone, we wanted to let you know there wasn't enough amazing spot on our Spotify playlist. We had to remove all these songs so that we could add DDS1.
Oh no! I'd be conflicted because on one hand, DDS, but on the other hand, the Persona 3 dancing has some of the best music ever. I listen to it all the time. So when it disappeared, I was like, "Where's the Way of Life?"
They just want you to go back to buying the vinyls.
Hey, I mean, I'll keep buying them, especially the fan gamer ones, the SMT ones. They're like super nice.
And actually ship in a meaningful speed as opposed to IM 8-bit.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that out loud in case IM 8-bit people tune in and they're like, Just so you know,
I
Spencer's the
mean,
one that said it.
I've made my. I mean, literally, I think we've had on this show like me talking about limited run in a like good sense, and then immediately dogging on them in another.
All right, well, okay, let me put that on the record. Lawrence Waru, I hate limited run games, and there's no possible way that I'll ever say anything nice about them until they go out of business.
Did you know that every time someone says that on the internet, a limited run gets the rights to another game that's only exclusive for them?
Don't even give me my friend, my coworker. He's like, he is a collector. Like he's a collector of like just any game basically, and he'll always be like, "Oh, did you know Blank is getting a re-release?" And I'm like, "Cool," and then I'm like, "Don't tell me if it's limited run though." And he's like, "It's limited run."
So the monkey paw for me and a couple of my other buddies outside of Persona 3 and 4 was Tomba. When Tomba got announced, it was only through limited run. I was like,
yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna pirate Tomba. That's all I'm hearing.
Well, so they announced the collector's edition the day we're recording this. I'm fine. Like the only thing in it that I would want is like the pink steelbook looks great.
Yeah, it does actually.
But besides that, like if the only thing I want is a steelbook, I'd rather just wait and go get it that way. The funny thing with it, though, I will say, I think somehow these releases have actually brought back Whoopee Camp. I don't know how. I don't expect them to ever make another game again. But no, like the creator he reopened the LLC and the trademark in Japan for Whoopee Camp.
Interesting. Huh.
So like on the box of Tomba 1 and the announcement trailer for Tomba 2, Whoopee Camp is there like next to the publisher.
Does that mean that we're going to get some more Tomba? Because I'm down.
I don't think so. Like, I mean, I think like there's always a chance. Like, if 1 and 2 sell really, really well, like they're clearly like really hoping for it. And I mean, like I love Tomba 1 and especially Tomba 2, but like I'm not sure how it will do. I'm just glad that like as someone who owned those games and then sold them back when they were not as expensive as they are now, I'm very happy that they're going to get like a modern re-release.
No, yeah, I feel you.
And I mean, like as a big dumb animation nerd, I also love just seeing more new Tomba. Like the opening animation and the completely redone soundtrack alone is enough for me to just be like, okay, yeah, I'll probably suck it up and still buy this.
No, I'm gonna wait for it to be on what is it? Video game. What is the name of that?
VGP.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for it to be on VGP or at my neighborhood Best Buy, where they always bring the limited run games.
So Best Buy actually had a breakup with LRG.
Oh, never mind then. I guess I'll have to wait for VGP.
So I forgot what release it was, but Best Buy basically out of nowhere would order certain amounts in the thousands of limited run games, and they did it all like for almost like 4 or 5 years. And last year, basically, Best Buy just full stopped an order that they had placed and pulled the payment. And then LRG was like, "Okay, fine, no more games from Best Buy." But they're not going to announce like they're not doing stuff with them anymore.
Yeah,
but like I found out basically that Best Buy just full stopped support for them like mid 2 years ago, and then stopped carrying anything with them since.
Oh, that explains a lot actually, because I was waiting to see if Persona would end up there. I'm like, okay, well, I'll...
Yeah. So ironically, from talking to a bunch of the people at VGP who are like super super awesome, they actually became the replacement for Best Buy.
Oh,
like
okay.
Once Best Buy filled up, like Video Games Plus is straight up like the home for getting limited run games after their release. Like they have an official partnership with them of getting, if not everything, just about everything sent to them.
Okay, good to know. As long as I'm like,
so
that'll be my way of circumnavigating my own.
I mean, my thing with the, like, I mean, I love Video Games Plus, but like my whole thing with the limited run, like with the excuse of like, okay, well, I don't like limited run, I'll just buy their games through VGP. It's like they're still getting paid though, and like if I just buy it through them directly, I'm at least getting it a couple weeks sooner. But like, shout out though to there's a few random people who every now and then go to my Persona 3 and 4 unboxing video who just every now and then will comment, "Where's my collector's edition? It's been over 6.5 months."
Yeah, and if you go on like eBay right now, the collector's edition are going for like 1,000, 2,000, and they're not. I don't think they're even in hand. I think they're just the pre-sale.
No. Which, by the way, when Persona 3 and Persona 4, when limited run started shipping out the standard copies, it was so funny seeing how people were shocked about two things. One, people being shocked that the Switch version is the cheapest to buy, and then people being amazed at how hard it is to find a PS4 copy. Because I think a lot of people would have just assumed, oh, Switch is going to be the one that there's the most copies printed of, which is true, but most people who bought it their limited run still want it on Switch. So people didn't buy a lot of duplicate copies on PlayStation, and there is a huge PlayStation audience who wanted those games, maybe didn't know about it or maybe missed it because of the holiday season, that the PlayStation version of those are crazy rare, especially by the print run. I'm gonna try. I have an idea, but I think once we kind of get closer to them all shipping, I'll try and do my pestering skills. I'd be very curious to get the exact numbers printed, because I know in the Switch, for both Switch copies, they sold in the 10 plus thousands, but I know for Xbox especially, I think it was crazy low.
Oh, okay. I mean,
which I'm always a sucker for weirdly dumb low print runs, and it's not even from a rarity thing, because if I was smart, I would buy 2 copies of everything and then sell them when they're all rare. I just like holding a copy of a game that I'm like, hey, do you know only 125 copies of this exist? That's pretty cool, and then just put it back on my shelf forever.
Have you played it in other ways?
I can at least say this: there's no games in my collection that I'm I own a crazy rare copy of it that I haven't played. Okay. I have some games I've definitely ponied up way too much money for, but I am very much always I will rip it open even if I only play it for a couple hours.
Gotcha. See, I'm of the mind where I'm oh, I don't know, it might go up in value, then it's gonna be worth a lot less because I opened it. I'll just play it on Steam.
I almost thought that was going to happen. I have a sealed copy of Persona 5 Royal, the steelbook copy on Xbox. I was like, oh man, this is getting kind of rare. Chris of the Krillcast gave me a copy. I bought it for him at MSRP, but I was like, dang dude, it's really hard to find a copy now. And then you look online, it's oh no, yeah, Video Games Plus has them for $25, still sealed. Yeah, even just because something is rare does not always mean that it's going to be valuable. It just depends on how hard you look to find it.
Oh, okay.
Things that I do hope end up being valuable, though, as a very quick aside, and to try and bring us back to Vengeance, I finally got my credit card cover. I hope that becomes a really randomly obscure piece of merchandise one day.
See, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get mine, because I've noticed with these sign up and win things for Atlus, sometimes they just don't ship them, because I've gotten half of the ones that they were promised.
So the weird thing is, the credit card cover was the first time they actually limited it with a number attached. All of them have always been limited, but I don't know how they decide when the cutoff is. They never tell you if you don't get them. So I'm trying to pull up, because I have them all next to me here. The first one ever was the Persona 5 Tactica patch. Did you get that?
No, that's one of the ones that didn't come in.
So after that, they did the Persona 3 Reload stickers.
I got that.
Did you get that one?
Yeah, I got that.
I guess we could also say the Etrian Odyssey stickers, but let's be honest, did anyone want those guys?
No. The weirder one was,
and then the credit card cover.
Yeah. And I won all of them. They literally oh, put in your information. And I know that they had a deadline of 5 days, but I always put it in literally the first day. So.
I think you lived too close. That's your problem.
Yeah?
If you lived farther away, you would have had them by now.
And that's the thing that is so funny, because sometimes I'll get it before everyone else, and sometimes I really am the last person in the world to get it. So I'm not sure.
My metric for knowing when Atlus things are on the way are when people send me either on Twitter or on Discord a picture of them with their copy, and I'm like, okay, I should get into 2 or 3 days. It's almost coming now.
No.
Kind of going back, but I gotta bring it up just because I know you weren't a huge fan of the collector's edition too. Have you seen how hilariously cheap the P3R collector's edition got?
Yeah, and I'm I feel bad because I know that they tried hard, but I just didn't try hard enough. Like, I don't know.
What a backhanded compliment! I can already feel this being.
It's because I don't know how do you know how when a baby is born, you don't want to say it's ugly because
Oh my
you just say
god!
it's like precious. You know what I mean?
But you know it's a fugly baby,
Yeah.
but you can't tell them until they get older.
Yeah. So you just say, oh, what a precious gift. You know, that's kind of how I felt about that collector's edition. It was a precious release.
So I forget, did you buy it or did you not? Because I know you got the Japanese version.
I ended up buying it upon initial release, and then I bought it when it was like half the price. I kind of wish I waited.
Yeah, it's well, that's the thing. I'm kind of like, I almost wonder if I want to kind of make this into its own either like topic or at least like maybe even like a short video point. Atlus, God, man, they're insane. The same goes for Sega, but damn, their games go on sale fast. Like,
Yep.
it just happened today. SMT V Steelbooks for Vengeance are $40, and I'm like, it's not even a month.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even a month, and it's already a third of the price.
Yeah, they really. The thing that's, I think the thing that gets me about it is that I think most like ardent fans fall for it every time too. No one really waits because they want to be one of the first to play it. So that when it happens, it's always like a gut punch every single time, even though you know it's coming.
It's just so funny because, like, some of them make sense. Like, Soul Hackers, I knew I did not need to buy a PS4 copy of Soul Hackers. I was like, that game is going to be really easy to get going forward in the future.
Yeah.
But, like, then, like, other ones that are kind of funny of, like, we haven't really seen a ton of discounts for Unicorn Overlord or other things, but, like, when the GameStop news came out for Reload this week, that GameStop was selling the PS5 Collector's Edition for 75% off at $50 as opposed to $200.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I liked that collector's edition actually, and I know I'm in the minority, but I was like, how do you not have FOMO when you see that? Like, that drastic of a price cut in 5 months.
Yeah. It kind of hurts to think about, to be honest. Sometimes
well, so what's funny is I found out they apparently it's always weird, like, how do I phrase it? They didn't overprint. They kept printing more leading up and past launch, because there was a time where the P3R Collector's Edition was sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, actually, the rarest version of it is the PS4 version. If you have the PS4 version, that's like a crazy rare version because they only made a couple of thousand.
Oh, wow.
Because most people didn't want a PS4 copy. They wanted a PS5 or an Xbox copy.
Yeah.
So they kept printing PS5 and Xbox after release. So that's why there are so many left over. Like, it's not as bad as, like, the Persona 5 Once More edition. That's laughably been overprinted. Like, that's the most ill-fated name collector's edition they probably have ever done. But that's the reason for P3R. The funny thing, though, is they've almost done, like, an overcorrection, because if you've noticed, every time Metaphor, the collector's edition, has gone up back on sale, it's instantly sold out.
Yeah.
And that's because they've printed way, way, way less, because obviously it's not a mainstream IP like Persona 3 is. But what's funny about it is the way they've been combating it is, instead of printing more copies on both PlayStation and Xbox, that's why they introduced the PC SKU. So not only is it's their first ever PC collector's edition that they've ever done in the West, which, by the way, is insane to think that that's a thing. It's their first ever collector's edition in the West on PC, and they can just print all of the same assets for the collector's edition, and if you're someone who missed it, you can just buy the game on whatever system you want, standard edition, and then just buy the PC copy. I forget. Have you talked about what are your thoughts on the Metaphor collector's edition?
I mean, I'm more excited for the Japanese version because physical book. The English,
unsurprisingly,
yeah, the English version. I'm glad that they're matching the energy, kind of, except the physical book. And I think that, just the fact that they're bringing the book over means they're translating it, which is already like a big thing because it seems like the book is going to be big. So I'm kind of excited. I just don't know why it's tied to the Atlus 35th anniversary. It kind of doesn't feel like it's the Atlus 35th anniversary game, if that makes sense.
No, not at all. Like, which is funny because I think looking at Persona 5 originally being the 28, that was what, 20th, right, for
Yeah,
Persona?
20th. Yeah.
That felt perfect. That felt like, okay, this is a new entry, a culmination, game specific. Like, listen, guys, I love that you think you're giving Atlus company representation, but the fact that it's just a bunch of Persona, 2 SMT costumes, and an Etrian Odyssey DLC outfit,
Hmm.
like, this is not that game.
Yeah, it's just a game, not the game, which is not a bad
Well,
thing,
and
you
and
know.
and I think like maybe this also kind of goes into why is the art, like, not the art book, why is the history book not getting included as a physical in the English edition?
Hmm.
I think the English edition does a better job at including game specific things on there. Like, we get the steelbook, we get the art book, we
Yep.
get the map and other things like that, and we get the CD. But at the same time, I think that art book is cool. But like, let's be honest, like, just let some other company print that
Yeah.
and people will buy it. Because,
Yeah.
like, there's no reason to tie that to this release.
Yeah. Because I would 100% buy that for $100
Oh, man.
separate.
If Go Hypergrind is not in that art book, though, people are going to lose their shit.
Okay. So the funny thing about that is I actually talked to the art director of Go 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 Hypergrind because I was trying to get art for it because I wanted to make a video about it. And they already sent that to that one preservation society for video games. I forgot what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
Yeah, the Video Game History Foundation.
yeah. So I don't even think Atlas Japan has hands on that that documentation. I was told there was some like weird stuff that went on between Atlas, Spumco, and Atlas Japan. So the man,
Wait a minute, are you telling me infamous artist John Kay has something wrong with him right now in the year 2024? What are you talking about?
yeah, I mean, there might be a little something, but
Famous Tenacious D music video animator and a hit Kickstarter author,
yeah,
John Kay? I can't believe such news.
it kind of sucks that's he's tied to Atlas legacy in a way, but also it's very funny.
That is the only reason. Go-Go Hypergrind would have been moments away from getting an HD remaster. John Kay is the only reason Go-Go Hypergrind costs $5,000.
Yep, and it's a pretty good game. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's pretty good. But I kind of
like,
I don't know.
realistically, though, I will crack the world's largest smile if we at least see Friday the 13th or Rockin' Cats will make me happy.
Yep, Rockin' Cats would be insane, especially because some of that art, like you can't get good scans of it, and I kind of want to scan stuff for the wiki.
So, Atlas, I believe in you. Do a good job. Just don't lean too hard into the metaphor being the 35th anniversary for Atlas King, because outside of people who like listen to this podcast, unfortunately, I don't think that means jack shit for them.
Yeah, and I also don't think anyone really knows, to be honest.
I mean, like, I think there are some companies that if you say it's the 30th anniversary of Nintendo, or like, I mean, I don't even know if like a Bethesda would be one. Like, that's such a thing. Like, a company is even more kind of like separate from like a developer, weirdly, in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the sense of like, I mean, I guess Sega is kind of up there as well with Nintendo, but like, it's one of those things like when people say like, "Oh man, like, so this year's an anniversary year for PlayStation." I think it's 30 this year. Like, PlayStation's 30. You're going to get like 1,000 different answers that people think of, though. They're going to either think of everything from Crash Bandicoot to Siphon Filter all the way to like Gen Sakai and like Ellie from The Last of Us. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be all over the place. There's not going to be like one thing. I hate to break it to you, Internet. Most people just think of Persona when they think of Atlus. There's a lot
Yep.
more, but it's mostly just Persona.
Yeah, they could have just done like a Persona re-release or something, and people would have been like, "Oh, that's fitting." Honestly, if they're gonna try to cater to actual like diehard fans, they should have done like a really nice plush line of all of the former like big mascots, like maybe like that one potato. the potato.
I want you to know that I wake up in a blind rage every day when I remember the fact that there is no Memon plush.
Yeah, what the hell?
It's been 4 years, guys. You've had 4 years to get a plush ready, and still nothing.
It's that, and then a Gustav like figure, like just one of him just sitting.
I think like Gustav would be like I would only want him to get like a cheap $30-$50 pop-up parade figure
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. But then,
That being said, he would have to have a base that if you press it, really crunchy audio sound clips of him would have to play from it though.
yeah, I would love that actually, especially if it was crunchy. It has to be a little crunchy.
No, yeah, it can't be clean. Like I want to hear like a.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm sure glad that we've somehow made everyone forget about your definitely valid 6 out of 10 for SMT Vengeance. But I will say this though. I am still enjoying my time with the game.
Yeah.
I'm loving playing it. I am so glad it exists. I bet I feel like the team had a great job making it.
Mm-hmm.
I at least want to say, like, one of the things I continuously am shocked that I don't hear more people bring up. Man, you can tell that game had a fucking super small budget.
Yeah, you can feel it, but you know, people still have the like the rose tinted glasses on right now, so they're in there.
Well, my thing is, at the very least, I don't want us to get to the point where we're like, oh god, like Persona, like SMT V Vengeance, god dude, SMT V, so like the way that the people had conversations about SMT V of like kind of throwing it under the bus, like I don't want us to get to that point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I think there needs to be more of a critical discussion in terms of especially comparing the canon of creation versus the canon of vengeance and other things like that. Because, I mean, listen, guys, I love Yoko, especially by the low bar standard of new Atlus Girl. We have to be honest, there's definitely some, like, Poochie moments of her being added to the story.
Yeah, because it'll literally be a thing of, it's like, here's this, like, serious scene, and randomly she's like, I hate cars. And I'm like, okay, thanks, Yoko.
My favorite was early on when you're introduced to Koshimizu, which, by the way, God bless the Canon of Vengeance for giving us more Koshimizu, because fuck, I needed it.
Yep.
But what was so funny would be every time they would talk to all of you, because it'd be like, let's talk to Atsuda, let's talk to Tao, let's talk to Dazai, let's talk to the Nahabino. All right, guys, we're all done talking. But also, what do you think, girl from another school? like at any point, you could just tell. All right, and now we edit her out. Oh, yep. we put her back in. All right, now we put her back in.
Yeah, and I think they've never really solved that issue when it comes to adding the new girl. It always has like those moments, and sometimes it's more noticeable.
Super ham-fisted. It's super ham-fisted. I guess we can kind of talk about that, like, because where does Yoko land for you? Because, like, I think it's very safe to say, though, she's no Alex.
Yeah, she's not an Alex. So here, I guess we have to come up with, like, a hierarchy already. For me, probably the best new girl would be, I don't know, is this controversial to say Marie?
I don't know why I thought you were going to say Metis. No, that is not controversial. Okay. I think Marie is handled very, very well.
Yeah, I know that when it first came out, I do remember people being like, "Oh, she's kind of annoying," but I'm like, "No, I think
that's true." I think the complaints are only valid if like you just don't like the tsundere type. That's about the only criticism I give Marie.
Which I don't like that type actually. I just think that it's fine. Like it's like just because
she is implemented, even if you hate the story with Marie. She fits so naturally as a Velvet assistant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a slap in the face when you look at other, like by comparison, especially like Yoko. Yeah. Yoko and Marie, I think, are like such polar opposites of like how naturally they fit in the story and with the cast and other characters.
Yeah. So I rate Marie very highly. She's probably the best. I feel like Yoko is somewhere between, like, okay, even if you count Metis, I rate Metis pretty highly too. I really like the answer, but I'm probably the minority that loves the answer.
I got the DLC for you in 2 months, my friend.
Oh no, I'm a no DLC person. I usually don't buy DLC.
You know that because you've said that though. Like I've been thinking about this too because I am not an answer lover. I cannot wait for it to come out, and then I'm like, God damn it, this made me like the answer.
I'm actually excited for that discourse because that's how it starts, and I'm kind of hoping it just stays that way, where people are like, oh, I love the answer now, and I'm just
Oh my god, I will remember all the the bandwagoners who are going to come out when the Answer DLC comes out, who are like, oh man, I always loved the Answer back then. No, you did not. No, you did not. I know your names.
Yep.
I know your faces. You did not love the Answer.
Trying to think who else is like a new Atlas new girl.
Ren, Kasumi, Alex, Devil Survivor 2 and Overclock doesn't seem fair. I wouldn't throw those ones in there, but
Yeah.
definitely like Kasumi, Ren, and Alex for sure.
Wait, who's Ren? Ren?
From Catherine.
Okay, that I don't edit that out. No one can know that I forgot.
What do you mean you forgot the most notable Q Catherine? What's wrong with you?
Okay, here's the hierarchy. It's Marie, then it's Metis, I guess. Then it's Q Catherine. Then it's Yoko. And
Oh my god, shout out, by the way, real quick, shout out to whoever on r/Megaton yells some Marina. I found someone had a list. Shout out to someone including Namissa for Radiant Historian. That should definitely not count, but the fact that anyone remembered that gets bonus points.
hey, that's actually pretty good. That's actually like you deserve. I don't know. You deserve a fan box from Atlas for knowing that. I mean, I actually don't like Kasumi. I'm probably one of the only people in the world. I feel like a crazy person.
I am not a Kasumi hater, but I definitely make fun of how awful she is implemented in Royal.
Because she's fine in general, yeah, but the implementation isn't there. And then for me, Alex is the worst.
If you don't do that third semester, she is a waste of data on that disc.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you get it. I think we think about things very similarly in that regard. Where I think I understand exactly. So good.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Who's best to worst?
Marie's definitely on top as well. I would say Alex is the bottom. I think I would say Ren on second, Yoko below Ren, Metis below Yoko.
Okay. No Kasumi.
Kasumi is so that's the thing. Kasumi should be the bottom, but unfortunately her story is good. It's just insulting. It takes 90 hours to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And is missable.
That's fair.
Even if you don't do Marie's dungeon, you can beat Persona 4 Golden and still have an opinion on Marie.
Yeah, she's still a character if you do it or not.
If you beat Persona 5 Royal without doing the third semester, you're like, who the hell was that girl who just ate food a lot and you walked in the rain with? Oh man, thank God I had this great backstory moment with you as I held your umbrella and you talked about how much you're a big fan of doing loop-de-loops after school. Man, no wonder they didn't add this character into fucking Strikers, man. How could we have lived without Kasumi adding her integral opinions to the world?
Hey, but she can twirl those ribbons. She's really good at that.
She can.
Yeah.
She can. She's awful at being a traffic guard, but damn, she can twirl some ribbons after school.
Right.
So, yeah, new girl. I think the new girl conversation. I'll be very curious too of where Yoko will range, especially because I know Yoko's going to kind of do more. I will say though, I was actually expecting Yoko to be more one note.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the writing team. I think the way that they use Yoko, because I was ready for them to just make Yoko constantly bouncing off of you, and I was like, that's so boring because you're a silent protagonist. The way that they have the conversations between Tao and Yoko, I think, are fantastically done.
Yeah, I would agree. Overall, Yoko does feel like she belongs, and I do like the way she's written because we seldom get like an ardent just believer in one ideology who's like human anymore. So the fact that she's she's like, I am definitely chaos and nothing can change my mind. I'm like, something about that's refreshing for mainline.
It again just kind of goes back to one of those things I loved with base SMT5 of it's giving us new representations of law neutral chaos without it just being the black and white stereotype of here's what an agent of chaos should be, here's what an agent of law should be. I think those are fantastically great. And man, again, just so glad they remembered the rest of the cast in Canon of Vengeance. I will say though, I really wish I could almost like wipe my mind. I would be so curious to see what it's like playing Canon of Vengeance with no knowledge of Canon of Creation.
I mean, my guess is it's terrible because that's
Well, because like there's a lot of things where I'm like, yeah, like, and this is like the minorest of minorest points with it. Like, I feel like by the time you get introduced to Konsu, you're like, what the fuck's a Bethel? Like what?
yep.
The, like what the fuck? Like what the fuck is any of these people?
Yeah. My big thing about it is if you play, if I want to see people who haven't played original SMT5 tell me what they think about SMT5 Vengeance, but only if they played Canon of Creation first and then Vengeance, because I think that those people will have the most unique and probably the most, I guess, pure opinion in terms of how the game is with no bias. Because I think that a lot of
That's why I was really surprised and glad. So, like, that's how Casey's been doing it. So, like, the voice actor for Nahabino,
mm-hmm.
since they never got to beat original SMT5, just basically have been marathon running. So they just finished Creation, and they're about like halfway through Vengeance now.
Oh, right.
Like, I've been picking their brain as much as I can, just because it's like that's got to be so rewarding to just kind of immediately have that comparison of one versus the other.
Yeah, and that's my fault. That's part of why I don't want to do my review. Because when I was like, oh, it's the release date's coming up, I replayed like original SMT5. Then I played Canon of Creation. Then I played Vengeance. Like, so I played Vengeance's version of Canon of Creation after playing the original version. And I was like, this is almost exactly the same. Then I played Vengeance. Yeah, it's like the changes are so minor that you wouldn't...
I mean, they did try to warn us.
Yeah,
when the game was announced, they did say this is basically half of the same game.
Yeah, but that's kind of what informs my like pretty my harsh criticism, because I'm like, although they did say it, it still doesn't make it not. I mean, it still doesn't make it okay. I still don't like it for that. So yeah, that video probably won't come out for a very long time. I'm waiting for someone to make a hate video so that I can make mine, and then mine will look sane.
My only hate thing so far is I appreciate the African representation, but why, for the love of God, is the African branch of Bethel like 3 dudes?
That's what okay. Don't give me the thing that I got. You don't understand how excited I was at first. I was like, oh my god. Not only are they new demons, not only are they designed very well, but they're all African, and they're popular African. Well, 2 of them are popular. The other one, I didn't know who it was. That snake guy. I'm like, oh, Nyami. But yeah, then when you play it and it's like, that's it.
I'll tell you what, though. Someone will do a cool video one day explaining the Golden Stool, and more than me and like 5 guys I went to high school with will understand what that was about.
That someone's not me. There's like
no.
There's a couple of those lore guys that'll probably do it. I know there's a whole ecosystem of Megaton YouTubers that I just don't even know who they are, but people will reference them. I'm like, who is that? Who are you talking about?
Bro, you don't know Poppy Two Legs? Poppy Two Legs has been doing SMT lore videos for like 20 years.
He's been here since the beginning.
Dude, Poppy Two Legs, I will never forget when he got sponsored for the original release of Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. It was insane. It was so crazy. John Harden flew to his house and they did a 60-hour-long interview. It was insane back in the day.
But
man, what an awful segue, but God, we have to do it eventually. Speaking of things that felt like they were 60 hours, we talked about it a little bit before, but you survived Anime Expo.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened. Anime Expo was a thing, and you remember it from last year, so I'm actually curious about what exactly was your thoughts about last year's Anime Expo? Just like...
So last year was my first ever. And by some shocking, because if you like look at the internet or like Twitter or TikTok, especially TikTok wants you to think that Anime Expo is like people wall to wall, awful line fest, stink bombs for days, and the biggest waste of time and money ever. And I somehow left it being like, damn, I kind of want to come back here. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to come this year, and I
Mhm.
knew I was going to have some FOMO for other things. I will say, I I've had such a level of FOMO for not going to AX this year that like now if I don't go, I'm pretty sure my wife will just castrate me.
Yeah, go next year because yes. First of all, Atlas reached out and they did like a thing. They gave us the Nahabino plushes. You could have won one. Our friends
Could
won
have won one.
them. Our friends won those Nahabino plushes. Our mutuals.
Rigged.
And you
Definitely rigged, but you know what? I'm glad they went to the right home. Now I know who to rob.
but the thing that's funny is I was like DMing most people I'm like that I knew, and I knew you said you weren't gonna go, so I was like, okay, well, that sucks. But I was telling people like, come, I know you will win because these you okay. I did it via trivia, and it was so funny because our version of what trivia is like not the same as the average like.
Oh no, dude! I know when I do panels, I have to constantly dumb down my trivia because I have to remember not everyone has psychopath brain like I do.
Yeah, and I the first four questions were so hard that literally everyone just had like blanks.
Do you have any of the questions? Because I was trying to get Kat to like tell me like which one she had won or whatever with, but it was like she had like forgotten by the time she like finally got back to me, and I was like, do you have like any of the questions that either like people had or people couldn't get? Like, do you remember any of them?
Yes. Okay. First of all, the cat one is this one, which is very easy, and you'll know this one right away. Why are Koromaru's eyes red?
Why are his eyes red? I'm trying to remember about that one. Is it
Like
why am I forgetting this one? I know that I should know
you
this.
when you think about the answer, it's like very obvious. Just think about like his coloration. Think about the type of dog.
It's not because he's colorblind, is it?
It's because he's an albino dog, and albinos always have red eyes.
Oh yeah.
It's super dumb,
See,
right?
that's a good one though. Like that's at least like a good one of like that one you wouldn't have to be like huff and paint to understand, but you could still get it either way.
Okay, this is the one that was actually this is the one that no one knew, and it was so funny to me because okay, for the second teaser trailer for Metaphor, what was the knight doing? And no one knew, and the answer is insane.
I'm trying to even think about what the knight
So
like.
so
So
it's misleading.
was this like the knight architect or like which knight are we thinking of?
So it's misleading because I'm talking about Metaphor, but it's before they even called it Metaphor. It's when it was still
Oh, the teaser trailer. Was
yes,
this like when they're like riding in the back of the carriage or which one?
the one where it's a live action guy. Do you remember what he was doing?
Oh fuck no, no way! I'm not gonna remember that one at
That's
all.
what I'm saying. It was too hard, and it's just the guy. The trailer is quite literally just a guy opening a bag and eating like a chicken or a pheasant. That's all he does.
That's stupid. So like when I do questions, I always think like, oh, this will be really easy. I'll be like, what year did blah 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 come out, or like what platform did blah 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 come out? And then like the ones that I think of that other people know be like, which art director debuted in this game, or, like this
Yep.
for like this time? Where they're like, bro, like nobody knows these.
But okay, so then that art director one, my question was who I said who directed Persona 3, 4, and 5? Like and the answer that people gave me consistently, two people gave it to me was Soijima, and I'm like, "Ooh, no, close. He drew the characters, but who directed the game?" And it's funny because because the Metaphor panel was just before it basically, and in the Metaphor panel they're like Katsura Hashino, the director of Persona 3, 4, and 5. And I'm like, oh,
I mean, like it is just funny because it is one of those things of I love trivia
Mhm.
that makes me either like learn something or remember something or like check out something in a way that I didn't really know with it. But then at the same time, it is always funny of just being like, all right, Spencer, not everyone is the Ken Jennings of Atlas trivia.
Yeah, and that's why next year I'm gonna do it again, and I'm just gonna make it a lot simpler because once I got to down to like the most basic, like trivia that I could think of, and it was stuff like what was it? I said, what's the name of the new character in episode I guess? It's like, oh, Manus.
Mammoth.
Yeah.
Is it Mammoth?
Someone said I guess, and then someone said Manus, and I'm like, I guess is like, I mean, you're kind of right, I guess, but
Shadow Labrys.
So
you did the meetup because I forget, like, in the booklet for it, is it just called the Atlus meetup, right? Like for the cosplay meetup?
So I've been calling it the Megaten meetup, but this like going forward, I'm gonna call it the Atlus meetup because there's also a Persona meetup because Persona is just too big for like my meetup. It's already just its own thing. So my meetup was like 10 to 15 people. The Persona meetup was like 100 people. So we have to separate it. But then because it was only Megaten, I had people come up to me and go, "Oh, I wish it was Atlus because I knew my friend was cosplaying the Metaphor protagonist." Or they'd be like, "Oh, I was gonna bring my what is it called, Unicorn Overlord cosplay," and I'm like, "What? That someone did that?" So I'm opening it to just Atlus. That way we can get like a Trauma Center person or an Etrian Odyssean person if they really want.
I want to see Unicorn Overlord cosplay so bad. I didn't even think about that as like a thing to look for. Like, I was already shocked to see Metaphor cosplay. Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about Unicorn Overlord or whatever.
And apparently there was one.
And I mean, I think that's a good idea too, especially just because, like, and I know we joked about like the fact that like people just think of Persona when they think of Atlus, but I think like once you kind of get to this inner circle of like where the community's at when they think of Atlus, it means a lot to a lot of different people. Of like, there are so many people who think of
like
the games like Trauma Center, Catherine, 13 Sentinels even now. Like, there's so many like different large circles in that Venn diagram that I think it would work a lot on a lot of different levels, because even now, while things are whether officially or unofficially part of like Megaten, it's very rare that people hear Megaten and they know, oh yes, this. Because I think even more people still to this day will know what you mean when you say Shin Megami Tensei, but might not necessarily understand it when you hear Megaten.
Yeah, exactly. And I talked about it with the Persona meetup person because we decided to kind of collaborate going forward. And yeah, it's basically that. I want to increase the like attendance as well as just the amount of people who can feel comfortable, because some people were like, "Oh, I wanted to go, but I wasn't sure if I can cosplay Vincent." I'm like, yeah, I wasn't clear enough. But
who does the Persona meetup?
I forget. I don't know her. If she's not really like a social media person per se, but she goes by Amy. I think she's the one that's been doing it since before I was doing it. I think she did it, and then like the one year she didn't do it, I started doing it. So I think I kind of like cut into her niche. So, because she's way better at it than I am. She had like a whole system. Like literally, like it was funny because like I can talk, but I'm not like someone who's like good at like organizing like the photos or whatever. So I could like really host, but I can't do much else. So I was really taking notes when she was doing it, because she had like a whole system. She even had a QR code everyone could scan to get the photos like right away. She had a Discord server organized for it. It was like way more organized than what I did, which is I just retweeted it on Twitter like 5 times. And I'm like, most of the people are on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And here I am like shouting into this random void instead of reaching everybody. But
so ironically, like one of the big like weird FOMOs out of like going to things like merch I could have bought or other things with it, I did not realize the high of doing a panel at Anime Expo and then not doing it again, of just being like, damn man, I really want to do another panel at Anime Expo.
I kind of want to do it too, because I think we both got like panels, but I couldn't do mine because mine was during the concert, and I'm like, I am not missing the concert.
God, man, I love AX, but damn, their organized schedulers are really bad.
They're not only that, but they're kind of okay. So I went to the Metaphor panel and I was excited for it because Atlus decided to give me a ticket so I can go sit in the Atlus section, the reserve seating. there,
Damn.
but there's two sections. The very, very, very front, which is like right up. I could basically smell like Sojima, or the very, very, very back. Guess where Atlus? Guess where I had to sit?
If it's not right next to Sojima's grippers, I'm not going.
Yeah, I was literally in the nosebleeds, and it was only because all of the Anime Expo staff took all the front seating that's reserved for Atlus,
Wow.
and I'm like, oh, that's something. That's a choice.
That is, I mean, hey, man. I mean, at least you were able to go and like check it out there in person and stuff with it. But yeah, that especially like the big ballroom ones, like that one's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like ironically, because of like running around, because like let me tell you, the like lessons I learned from the first year of doing AX versus like the next time I go, I have like already a giant bucket list of things that like okay. Do this, don't do that, make sure to spend more time doing this, don't get caught up doing that,
Mm-hmm.
go to more meetups, go to more things like that. Because like one of my big regrets, and like I cannot believe it, we were at AX for 3 out of 4 days last year.
Yeah.
We never set foot in the artist alley.
Whoa. I mean, well.
Yeah, and I was like, and looking at all the artist alley stuff from last year, and especially this year, I was like, there is so much cool stuff in artists there that I'm like kicking myself still that I wasn't able to see.
Yeah, and it's gotten better at like. So one of the things that's funny is that it was kind of infamously known as LionCon because of the how disorganized it was. But this year has actually been the best year I've gone in a very long time. In that, like, they basically block off the entire thing in a way that's easy to understand for someone who's not part of the convention versus someone who's in. And the exits and entrances were always wide open. And they capped the ticket sales, so once it sold out, and they didn't oversell, so it was not densely packed. It was still somewhat packed because it was max capacity, but it wasn't to the point of last year where sometimes I did literally have to stand in traffic like for like 5 minutes before I could move forward.
I think also, ironically, starting it on 4th of July actually helped too. Capping tickets and starting it on a holiday where most people might choose to skip the first day,
Mm-hmm.
I think also helped a lot of people not have that. Because, again, there's always that picture you see of, like, everyone nuts to butts waiting for the hall to open. But
Yep.
then, like, the thing that people don't realize is they're only that smushed in there because they're waiting for the hall to open.
Yeah.
Like, Anime Expo is this giant multi-building long convention hall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can have walking room, and especially, like, the videos I was seeing of the first 2 days especially, like, there was a lot of free room.
Yeah, it was literally, even the videos I saw floating around, I'm like, this is kind of like misleading because they're doing a lot of that footage was the very opening, because once it was open, it wasn't bad. But those were the people who wanted to get in to buy the thing before everyone else got there, because some things are just limited to the convention and whatever. But overall, it was a much better convention for me. And Alice's booth was very weird in the way it was designed, but it was much better than last year where I was actually confused.
So, yeah, I had actually reached out to a couple of the people in charge of the booth and stuff with it, because I think in terms of if you're like, and I always wonder like what the breakdown is of this, and like I'm not sure like what yours would be, but like for me, I'm not usually going to these kind of conventions just to be like, all right, I want to get all, like, because like I love San Diego Comic-Con. I hate all the exclusive merch because it just leads to everyone just only wanting to get the exclusives and not do anything else.
Yeah.
Of like, I want a booth to be something that I can go to, have fun, and pick up a thing or two if I want without having to be there all day.
Yeah.
And I think the booth this year, almost probably, because we had joked about this, like, it felt like they had to almost slapdash it together last minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think because they weren't really able to pick one thing and one thing only to be, I actually think it helped a lot. I think having a demo for Metaphor was a really interesting appeal, while at the same time, I thought, while I mean, honestly, I could have done without them having any merch. I know that there would have been people who would have been pissed about that.
I would
But
have.
like with the merch offering being as slow as not as slow, with the merch offering being as limited as it was nice that it was like, okay, I don't have to get merch first, or I can wait in line for the demo, or I can wait and do the like Persona 3 like photo booth and like it is so funny because I don't think Alice has ever done this before, but like hiring like professional cosplayers to be the cadets to be the Kadishtu, I thought
Hmm.
was like perfect of it being like, hey, these are really like recognizable and interesting like provocative character designs. It'd be really cool to like get photos with them, and here you go, you get your big piece of like swag bag out of it.
Yeah,
Like I think stuff like that of like having little tiny hotspots to go at, because even if you don't want to get all four done in a day, if you're just going and getting one or two in a day, you're still going to walk away from that booth being like, oh, that was really cool, or like, oh, I'm glad I did that.
yeah. And my experience with it was, well, first of all, the only flaw was that the demo was 10 minutes, which it's a good problem, or maybe it was 15.
No, no. I mean, considering the demo is the SGF demo, which, by the way, for context, the demo you played, because we're gonna get into this later, like talking about like some demo impressions.
Hmm.
Those three demos were given to press in Japan and for like Summer Games Fest last month.
Oh, okay.
That demo press had 45 to 90 minutes to play through them all.
Oh, okay. I mean, it definitely doesn't take that long because, so I guess they give you the 10 minutes is because you should be done. And like, there's, it's a, well, actually, maybe we can move this to later, but essentially that part of the booth was bad only insofar as there was not that many stations. So once you were in that line, you were going to be there for an hour in line, and that was like no ifs, ands, or buts. But the other ones, they were always packed, but the line was always fast. And I was really surprised because I didn't think people would want to take a picture with the Kadishtu, but some people did simply just because it was cool cosplay, not even because they knew what it was. And I thought that was
I mean, I want the bag. I wanted the bag, but yeah, the cosplays look cool too.
yeah. The bag was quite nice, but it is the traditional like con bag where if you actually use it, it'll definitely break. But
So like the reason I need it though is like I have every one of those bags that they've had because they've been doing those bags since like what like Ultimax or Persona Q, I think.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've had every one of those little Atlus bags, so I was like, I can't break the collection now. And it's like, listen, we were starved for SMT5 merch there, so like I was glad to get anything.
I mean, if you if you go next year, I'll just give you my extra bag, but I'm not gonna ship it. You have to just come to AX next year.
That's yeah, you just gotta hold it hostage for me.
Yeah, for like literally a whole year. But I will definitely, and I can give you one of the spare metaphor books because I have an extra one. So
I cannot believe that. I mean, like I realize it's just a blank notebook. I thought that looked so nice. I thought that looked really really cool.
yeah, the inside of it has that design throughout. Like it's like a mild old book look to it, and it's just throughout. It's every single page is printed on it. I'm like, this is kind of nice. It's weirdly nice. I'm very surprised at it, that, and you get it two ways. You can either take a picture with the Seeker statue down in the main hall, or you could play the demo. So I did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I did both multiple times so I could get extra books.
I mean, hey, they printed 500,000. You might as well get a handful.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. And I was like, there's so many people that I know who would want this. I'm just gonna hoard them and then like give them as needed. So, but the whole booth was really nice. I was talking to the Kadishtu. They were all super, like, I mean, obviously they're professional cosplayers, so they're gonna have like good rapport no matter what. But it was good that they even did the official art poses, which I thought was really good. The Persona 3 photo thing was super packed, but I didn't really care for it because it's kind of, you just pose and then auto generates a random persona. And the two times I did it, I got like Odin, and then I got I don't know, some like loser one, like a Mitama or something, and I'm like, okay.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I did though. I can't believe that I liked the Persona 5 Tactica photo booth more,
Hmm.
only for the fact that that one at least had props. I loved the
Yes.
dumb little signs. So like I'm a sucker for prop photos. I
Same.
think like even if they had just given like either like a C's armband or like an evoker cutout, like
Uh,
it would have gone a long way.
it would have. And I mean, I wish that the thing they gave was more tied to Persona 3 Reload, because it was the con like badge carrying like strap thingy, which is fine.
Yeah, lanyard.
Yeah, it's fine, but I would have actually just liked a cloth with the word C's printed on, and like a red cloth. I would have loved that more. Like, and I think that would have been cheaper too. But
Get you like a little like microfiber seeds
yeah,
cloth.
yeah, I would have killed for one of those actually. Sometimes I feel like I should work at Atlus, because I think merch ideas is like becoming a thing I know about. I know a thing or two.
Man, if only they had positions for merchandise license coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't work at Atlus, but oh man.
I would love for Atlus to hire me as an independent contractor on a regular basis to make creative projects.
Exactly. I want to work with them, but I don't want to work for them. But
it's like I want you. I just want you kind of like within arm's reach. I don't want you giving me my health benefits. That's what I just don't want that.
Yeah. But it was just a nicer experience. The rest of the con, I didn't really do that much. I usually do karaoke, but I got tired every single day. I was tired by about 3:00, and I just went home. But that could have just been
because you go solo, right? You don't go with anyone else.
Well, the first day I went solo. The second day I went with a friend, and with the friend I preferred it because, he knew a little bit more about anime and video games in general, so he was able to point out some stuff to me, and I was like, oh, cool. But when I go solo, it's fun, but I do basically feel like I'm just working, because that first day I was quite literally just like trying to like talk Atlus staff ear off and do whatever I got to do in order to get all the different merch. And I will say it was even the merch the Atlus conversation experience was better, except one guy who I don't think was actually hired by Atlus. I think he was just contracted for the event. He would not stop talking to me about Grand Theft Auto, and it was really annoying because.
Hold on. I need to was it like, hey man, did you see that new GTA 6 trailer? Like, what was this? I'm dying to know. Like, what was this conversation?
Okay, so I'm cosplaying as Akira, like blue uniform, stripy pants. Guy's like, oh, that's a cool outfit. What is that from? And I was like, it's from Shin Megami Tensei. And he's like, oh, I think I know that. And he was like, is that like a game or an anime? I was like, it's a video game. And then he's like, oh, cool. Have you played GTA before?
Bro,
I
want you to know, I actually low-key hope that guy was just hired at Atlus, and now he like listens to the show, and he's like, bro, I was trying to bond. GTA is like my one thing, and you shot me down.
Well, he was shooting for this, because I think that when someone's talking and you notice that or when you're talking to someone, you just notice a lot of
Like, oh no, dude! The amount of times we've been in like a GameStop or something, and like my wife will just give me the tug that's like, "Hey, he's not gonna get it. You just got to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, and he was just going on and on. He was like, "Oh yeah, like you should try it sometime. It's kind of like Atlus games." I'm like, "Okay." Like,
bro, I mean, like, listen, GTA 5 is basically a carbon copy of SMT 5. I don't know what you're talking about.
He was like, I think he was like, I feel like part of it was just really poorly choreographed sarcasm, but he was trying to be like, yeah, you should really try it. You'll like it. And he was just talking about the gameplay mechanics and how it's also great in Red Dead Redemption. And I'm just like, please. I would rather have silence or this song that's been looping for the last hour.
I want you to know that in a separate like timeline or something, like I met up with that guy and we became like best friends because fuck, I love Rockstar games. I could talk about Red Dead Redemption with someone like all day.
So I have a passing fancy for Red Dead Redemption and specific GTAs that I've played, because I've only played San Andreas, Vice City, Chinatown Stories, and the one where the guy always wants to bowl with you. I don't remember what it's called. 4?
GTA 4.
Yeah,
it's just one.
Yeah, I literally will always call it the bowling one, because I'm just like, why does this guy keep calling me about bowling? It's so annoying.
Get your cousin. He's got a bowl with you. Come on, Nico, go bowling.
I will say that one was the one where I love the characters the most, but I didn't play 5 because I was like I knew it was going to be a long game, and I just didn't want to play another long game. And I never played Red Dead 2 because I was also like, it's gonna be long, and I liked Red Dead the way it ended, so I don't want to continue.
I'll tell you what, as an avid hater of prequel stories, if you are even a remote fan of video games or storytelling or cinematic masterpieces, you literally owe it to yourself to play Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is sadly probably going to be like the last best game that company makes.
Jeez, that's high praise. Okay, I mean, I think I have that on. I think I have. I don't know if I have it on Steam. I'm pretty sure I have it though.
It's really good. Like, that's one of those games that like you've really gotta like. You've got to really try to like find the haters. Like, and like the only every time people complain really about Red Dead 2 is like it's so detail oriented that like it will kind of feel slow until you realize that it's like no, like you're meant to just live in this world. Like it's not like you can't play it like a GTA. You have to like you've got to look through the cupboards. You've got to go through all the dialogue options. Like it's not a game you're going to enjoy if you speedrun. You just got to like sink your teeth into it. Mm-hmm. The one thing though, if you're someone who's like, hey man, I don't really like when games are over 100 hours. Red Dead 2 is definitely the game. It does not know when to end. Red Dead 2 has like 4 different endings and it just keeps going.
See, I love long games as long as I can play them in short bursts, because literally to play SMT V Vengeance, I was playing it in like 2-hour intervals, and it felt like hell because it's not a game that does well with breaks, in my opinion.
No, you don't feel like you're making much progress. Whereas like then if you like sit down for like 5 to 10 hours, you're like, oh damn, I made a ton of progress.
I'm halfway through the new map. Those new maps are so long. But it was overall, the experience was really good. I think, and my only thing that I missed out on was the Yakuza party. Well, that's probably a bad way to say that. The Like a Dragon party. I don't know, the RG.
Oh, everyone calls it Yakuza. Like even like the live action show, everyone still calls it Yakuza.
Because I saw a guy dressed up as I don't know his name, but the Yakuza fluffy afro hair guy.
Oh, Ichiban.
And I said, oh, I like your Yakuza cosplay. He's like, oh, it's called Like a Dragon. And I'm just like, okay.
Oh my god, dude. No way.
It happened to me with Yakuza, and then it happened to me with an Eris cosplay. Because I call her Eris, and I don't think she's called Eris. I think she's called Aerith.
Actually, it's Aerith.
Yeah, literally, I was like, oh, I love your Eris cosplay. She's like, you mean Aerith? And I was like, okay. Like, just, are you going to take the compliment? Or...
Listen, dude, I'm scared for the day you ever run into a Zidane cosplayer.
Or a Titus, because I call him Titus. No one's gonna.
What about Cecil? Will Cecil or Cecil take the compliment?
I'm going with Cecil. I'm sorry. I don't like. There is just so many names that I'm not calling it that. Titus makes way more sense.
I always just have a good hat. Like listen. Like kind of like you said, like just take the compliment. Like be glad I'm complimenting you on this outfit, and let's bond over it, and then never talk to each other again.
Yeah, because there was one person where I saw her in the Perfect Blue cosplay. I was like, oh, I love your Mima, and she was like, thank you, and I'm like, I don't even know if that's her name. I just like.
It's Mima.
Probably a derivative of Aunt Jemima.
Oh my god.
No, but it was
Satoshi Kon, big fan of Aunt Jemima.
But there was a lot of, like, I think that's my favorite part about Anime Expo anyways, is just being able to see a cosplay and just tell them it's good, and they don't even have to know if you know what it is. And sometimes I would literally just say, I love how you did that umbrella, or I love your costume. And I wouldn't even know what they are most of the time, because like I know just the big anime, and that's pretty much it. Like, and whatever I liked as a kid.
Were there any, like, it doesn't have to be Atlus-related cosplays that stood out, but did you have any, like, ones that made you, like, do, like, a double take and be like, oh my god? Like, the one from this year I saw, I don't know their name for it, but whoever made the, like, giant Jack Frost costume, big kudos to you. That person also did, what's his name? The one-legged, the one-leg guy who I forgot his name right now. Jeez, Ipan Datara. He also did that one the day too, and I was like, that's cool. But for me, the big head turning one was that evil guy from Elden Ring, the one that you meet in the very beginning that's wearing a mask. Oh yeah.
I don't remember his name. So I was like, oh nice, I like your evil guy costume. Because I just say how I'm feeling, and I'm like, "He's close enough. That's an approximation of who he is." And he just kind
I
of
will say,
he nodded. So
I will say though, I was like, I could not believe, like, and I know this is a big ask. Shocked that no one cosplayed the new Nahabito form.
no one cosplayed Nahabino at all. There was one that cosplayed like the regular school uniform, but no one cosplayed Nahabino this year. And there was one last year, I think, right? Or a couple.
I saw two last year. My big one from last year that I remember was like, and it was so funny because they had just missed the photos, but I forget their name, but whoever was the Nua last year looked so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god, like because you know that no one's gonna recognize them, but I was like, like there are times when I see outfits like that I'm like, I need you to know that this is great because I know you're not gonna get enough compliments on it.
Exactly. And there's also a really good Angel Woman, but that's like I think everyone knew who it was, or they did at least know that it was a Digimon. But
that's true. Oh dang! I just saw a picture. I did not realize someone had done a Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, and they didn't come to the SMT meetup. They only went to the Persona one. I'm like, come on, guy.
You gotta stop dividing this country. We need to bring the weebs together for one big degenerate meetup.
That reminds me. I will say the one big flaw of the meetup, for the Persona one, is there was a grand total of 4 Persona 1 and 2 cosplayers, and I was one of them.
I mean, at least you were 25% of the party.
Yeah, and then when the Maya came, it was like really fun because like that person, like I follow her on Twitter, and she's like just like she's actually just good for morale, which is fitting that she cosplayed Maya. So.
Another one that I was glad to see, even though I think they wore the same thing last year, the 2 girls who do the Jack Frost and the Black Frost always look so fucking good. Those outfits are awesome.
That one was super good. And they didn't go to my meetup. There was a meetup the day before, apparently, that I didn't know about. And they went to that one instead. And I was like, oh, man. But hopefully all of this name changing will mitigate those issues.
Cosplay stuff aside, was there any people that you were glad that you got to kind of meet up with, or anyone you were surprised to see this year?
Yeah, okay, so Crystal, the streamer?
Yeah.
I was literally playing the demo for Metaphor, and then because I was also looking at other people's reactions, because I was like, I was doing the boss fight, and I was like, this is fun, but I wanted to see how other people are just responding to the game at all. And then I look to my left, and I'm like, that person looks like Crystal. So I was just like, Crystal? And then she was like, what? And then I was like, oh, it's me, Larrue. And she's like, oh, hi. It was super funny, and I think she was recording it, so hopefully I didn't ruin whatever footage she was doing. I think she was recording.
Well, I was thinking, because I don't think you were actually allowed to film the demo, right?
There's nothing. Okay, I checked. There was nothing that says you can't.
Really?
Yeah.
I was shocked at how little footage I've seen come out of AX.
It's because they just let you do it only if you ask. Because the second day when I went, my friend played, and I was like, "Is it okay if I just stand here?" And they're like, "Yeah, if you're watching your friend, go ahead." And I'm like, "Can I take pictures?" And they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, go for it." And I'm like, "What? I would have been doing this from the beginning."
Let me tell you. So in the English demo and the Japanese demo, no photos or videos were allowed. So definitely someone fucked up there, but at least it hasn't bitten them in the butt, because if you look it up, actually, there is no official, like, recorded ripped gameplay.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
It's all, like, so all the previews that Atlus let people do for, like, Famitsu and Summer Games Fest and stuff, it's all the same pre-canned footage.
Dang. I could have been the one.
You could have had the exclusive.
Nah, it's fine, because even for that, I mean, there's 3 options. There's like a story demo, a dungeon crawl demo, and then a boss fight demo. And they were scaled easiest to hardest, because the story was literally just listening to them talk, like it's like early cutscene stuff. Like that.
Was it English or Japanese voice acting?
It depended on which seat you got, because the first day that I played, the seat they put me at was in Japanese, and I was for the dungeon. But then when I fought the boss and when I did the story thing, it was in English. And both voice acting casts are great, but I actually definitely prefer the English one this time around because they use like a bunch of different European accents. There was even like a Welsh accent, which I was like, what? I can't even think of the last time I've heard of Welsh in like a video game. It doesn't sound corny or forced. It sounds like actual European voice actors. I don't know if that's the case or if I just don't know what Europeans sound like.
No, so most of the voice cast actually is European or like British or like Welsh and stuff. The funny thing though, like I'm sure it will get better by the time I play it.
Mm-hmm.
But this especially was like apparent when they were showing the most recent like exclusive like story show off for it. Is the main character is distractingly American.
He is American, but he's also very like excitable. So it's so funny hearing like the little bat guy being like, "Oh no, what's going on?" And then you hear the main character, "I'll do my best," and it's like, bro.
Yes, it's like, bro, what? I mean, and I think it does go into the story of like, I think it is most likely you are someone from our universe coming into theirs for it, but it is just so funny of like, man, this sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, it's a little distracting, but it didn't bother me too much because he doesn't talk. At least in the parts that I was playing, he didn't talk that much. But it's mostly Gallica. She talks a lot. Like which makes sense because she's literally like the Navi or whatever. But overall, the story thingy, I kind of didn't really read it because I didn't want to get spoiled. So I was just skipping until I finished the thing, and then the demo ended early. Um, for the boss one, it was like a very early boss, and that's when I got to really play, like get a good read on the gameplay. And it does feel like a combination of Persona 5 and SMT 5, like the way the battle system is built out. You have like your own like version of the Magatsuhi meter that builds up and lets you do these special collaborative moves that are like when in Persona 2 when you can like do two people doing the same move or whatever and do like a super move. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, it was pretty much like a combination of those two things. It had the press turn thing where you could exploit a weakness and get an extra turn, or like they're half turns, not a full turn, and then you also lose turns if you miss or like do one of the things that they're null or whatever too. Overall, it was really easy though. Like that boss was like an early on boss, and I beat that demo in like 5 minutes, and I was like so sad because I had rushed to the boss because I was like, okay, this boss fight's either gonna take 10 minutes or like 5 minutes. I don't know, but because it's pretty obvious, it's like a kraken. So once I was like, okay, we're on a boat in the water, and there's like one person with electricity skills. Let me see if that's what it's weak to, and obviously that's what it was weak to. But I like the gameplay a lot. It was really really fast. So like the battle loop is refreshing. I will say the UI is so colorful and animated that it was kind of distracting. Like,
Well, it's got to be weird too, especially coming off of Vengeance with a very minimal HUD,
yeah,
and then to Metaphor, which is like boom in your face.
yeah. I actually kind of wished there was a setting to turn it off, which I'm probably going to be in the minority for that, because with Persona 5 it was good. Even Reload, the little bit that I played, I'm like, this is a bit much. Like, it's beautiful to look at like outside of the context, but in the context, to me, it's a lot to look at. And in the for a Metaphor, because of how stylized it is, I actually got confused a couple of times. I was like, what does any of this really mean? But it was still overall an enjoyable experience with like the best music that Megara has ever done, because it was like that classic fantasy JRPG style music. And
I need to know for the battle theme who the hell is doing the vocal chantings, because man, they go fucking hard.
Yeah, actually, I'm really hoping that they have that like information in the CD, because sometimes they have like that they have any kind of like little mini interviews in those. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll describe it, because it's catchy too. I didn't get tired of the music the whole time, and usually I kind of get sick of the battle theme if it's a long battle. But it was good.
Well, and I'm also curious to kind of see like how varied it gets and stuff, because the game doesn't feel to me like it's going to be like a Persona where you're going to have the one or two battle theme songs. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be one of those things of a very vast array of kind of music depending on where you are, who's in your party, especially with kind of because like one of the big things with the interviews they've talked about for Metaphor is this is not a game you're going to 100% your first playthrough. You will miss things. Your playthrough is going to or supposed to be very different than mine because there's not a strict A to Z trajectory, which I'm actually excited about.
Yeah.
Cuz like I always tell people the worst way to play an Atlus game is with a 100% guide. I think it's one of the worst ways to play those games.
Yeah, especially in your first playthrough. It really does rob you of basically the agency that they're trying to encourage you to have.
Well, and I mean, I would even say, like, even with, like, Nocturne and SMT, like, 4 and 5, of, like, build strats, of, like, do this quest, put these build points into this, do that, like, it's fun to experiment, and yeah, even if you end up biting yourself in the ass of making a weird build, it's like, yeah, but then if you beat the game with, like, an all-luck build, hey, look at this fucking weirdo.
Yeah, and my thing is I never use those guides. Like I've literally never used the guide because for me it is fun, and I would actually say that the quest for 100% kind of defeats the purpose, especially for Persona games. Because they don't, at least the early ones, they didn't design them with 100% in mind. They designed,
No,
yeah,
never.
it was supposed to be a tailored experience. And I feel like if you do the 100%, you're just checking boxes, and it actually, whatever the opposite of immersion is, it like takes you out.
How did you feel about... And this is a weird one, because I'm sure you probably saw this, but I was glad that they confirmed this after the panel of... And by the way, the way they announced it was so funny, as if he's like actually an art credit contributor to it. I loved during the panel and the video they announced and confirmed, yeah, like the monsters are designed like inspired by like Bossk and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which like I love. It's like here's these three famous Japanese artists and some old Renaissance painter guy who died 1,000 years ago.
It was really funny because like that was one of the things that I forgot who pointed out to me, but I was like, oh, that does look familiar. But they were like, oh yeah, those are from Hieronymus Bosch. So then when Soejima said that, I was like, oh, that's funny that they're giving him credit because they were like, oh, this is the guy from Evangelion. He did the mechs, and he also did the runners or whatever, the gauntlet runners. And they're like, oh, this guy is from what's it called? Geez, that one Square Enix game with the blind girl or the girl with the
Blind?
but they're like, oh, that person did the design of the town, and then they're like, yeah, and this
for Nier?
yeah, Nier, that's what it was.
The blind. I've got breaking news. They wear blindfolds. They are still able to see through them.
Okay, because I've never played Nier. I've never played Drakengard.
You know what? I normally wouldn't have believed you. I believe you now.
but it was funny hearing them go Evangelion artist, Nier artist, like 14th century painter, and it's like, okay. It was such a weird.
I can't wait to go buy Metaphor fan art prints at my local Renfest.
But I do like those designs. Them doing that is kind of a very interesting way of like references because Kaneko would do references too. So seeing them kind of pull from something and then also be very clear that yeah, we were inspired by this. It's kind of nice.
Well, and I think it's also cool too because it goes into it of this game wouldn't hit as hard if it was just Soejima and him kind of elaborating on that. I think having a large array of not only characters, creatures, designs, and worlds, it really sells it that like this is a different kind of beast altogether in terms of like the world they're selling with it, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. My only complaint is that you can't jump in the game, and it's dumb because I hate not being able to jump in games. Like I don't know what it is. It's like the worst punishment. If you're gonna make a game where you can move around, I demand that I jump. Even if the jumping doesn't do anything, I need to be able to jump.
I just don't know how you played FromSoft games before Sekiro.
I would play them angrily because I'm like, where's the jump?
I mean, you can jump. It's just a terrible jump.
Yeah, it's like a weird, like a hop Yeah, I hated it.
Hold circle and pray that you roll in the right direction.
But overall, it's a game that I'm very excited for. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be my game of the year because that's what the naivety that we're trying to avoid going forward.
I mean, listen, it could be.
It
I'm
could
still in
be
the camp of like, I am shocked this game is out in 3 months.
exactly. But the way I like to go in is kind of like we were saying with even stopping watching the trailers and stuff. The other part of it is that I tried to not build expectations. So then when I play it, I'm like, this was really good. Instead of being like thinking it's gonna be good and then playing it and be like, oh, it was good. Because yeah, I do want to come away like with a positive experience, and part of it has to be playing it blind. So I kind of didn't even want to do the demos, but I was like, I want the book.
I mean, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, the book is nice, but also, Atlus hasn't had like a public-facing demo since like E3.
Yeah, and it was actually cool, and it was structured nicely. I will say that balloon gauntlet runner was probably the weirdest thing that I've seen. And
Yeah, let me tell you that inflatable did not translate very well in person.
yeah, the whole time I was like, "What is this?" I thought it was like a robot skeleton, like the inside of the ribs or something. And then they're like, and then it was at the panel where Hashino was like, "Oh yeah, there's a cute I forgot what word he said. He said like a deformed or something, gauntlet runner." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's definitely not formed. It's
Did you so I actually didn't get to watch all the panel. I kind of watched like highlights and then watched the Atlus Presents video. Did they show the Presents video during the panel, or was the panel its own kind of separate thing, showing off art and then leading up to it later?
they played it at the tail end. What happened was that panel wasn't even the full thing. Like they basically spent too much time dilly dallying, so they didn't get to all the content that they actually had. So they had to rush through and just so they can get to playing the trailer at the end.
So, like, I will say, because I was actually nervous about watching it, I was like, okay, let's at least start, because I was like, the whole point of the newest broadcast, for anyone who hasn't watched it, was it was all about the story. And they even give you a warning. They're like, hey, if you want to go into this blind, because this is just the opening of the game, go and skip this. And I was like, let's at least see. Because like,
Yeah.
I did want to learn more, but I was also worried about how much it would spoil. I feel like it did not spoil anything at all. I think it did a good job of clearly skipping over the opening more and jumping into, because the thing I wanted to learn more about was what they showed was learning about the whys and the how of the election, because I
Yeah.
think the election is like the coolest part of the whole story.
Yeah. I do like I do like where it's going, so I'm really curious about it. But I am curious also about how much of it's a isekai, because I get the feeling that it's gonna be an isekai.
Oh, yeah, I will be shocked if it's not. Shout out though to Sojima for actually commenting on why the elf looks so drastically different versus the reveal trailer.
Which I'm still mourning the loss of the OG elf, because I definitely prefer the OG.
I'm gonna say I bet she has a sister who is just that design. I'm like, there's no way that design is not in the game.
It would be a waste, though. That the OG one kind of just looks like a fantasy fantasy Makoto in a way, a little bit, just a little.
Yeah, that is a good point. It does kind of look like that. Um, we could probably start wrapping up as we have gone horrendously long. As my wife came in here at the halfway point, laid down, took a nap, and then came back. Asked, "Are you still really going?" and then just left. um, but before we go into questions, I at least kind of wanted to get like any like quick takeaways about either AX or the whole thing in general. And this is such a weird one. That's why I don't want to say mine last. I just kind of want to say this here. I love that they flew the staff out. I love that they did a panel. I wish it would have been longer. I wish there could have been more stuff there. Like
Yep.
honestly, I would have loved it if they did a trifecta. I'm like, listen, if we're already flying people out. I would have loved it if they like, let's have a panel for Vengeance. Let's get the
Yep.
director and writer for Vengeance. Let's get the people. Let's get the team who's working on episode Aegis. Let's have
Yep.
them do a panel. Let's have like let's just go all the way because like why not? Like you're already flying a bunch of people all the way over. My one thing, I know it's really petty, and I know it really doesn't make that much of a difference in the end. The thank you Anime Expo drawing that Sojima did,
Uh-huh.
I can't tell you how much of a yuck it gave me that just at the bottom it says don't forget to pre-order. I hated that so much because I know that it's all just one big marketing push, but like listen, I like to at least lie to myself and pretend that you're flying halfway across the world to be with the fans and talk about this new game and not just get more pre-order copies.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel very like it could have just done without that. Actually, I think I'm gonna post a version that just edits that out.
Because it just kind of it's like a great example, the one that Doi did for the launch of like Vengeance. Imagine if that said thanks for pre-ordering Vengeance.
Yeah.
It's just that like little. It's because there's always like such a layer or a balancing act of like balancing art versus business, and I know that they always have to be there, but it's like one of those things of like you probably could have done without that because you like at least in my head I know that that was not his idea to put that there. You know that that was like someone in Atlus Japan who was like you should remind him to pre-order.
Yeah, one of the heads was like, "That's a good drawing. Please remind them." Thank you.
Well, because they, if you notice, they even say it actually on the videos for any of the Western videos and the Japanese videos. They always tell you that you can always pre-order, but if you notice in the West, they only ever say digital pre-orders. They never tell you to go pre-order in store.
Yep. That is something that I noticed right away. Okay, so I have a couple of takeaways from the Anime Expo experience. Overall, I quite liked everything. Like just like I said, the overall experience was a lot better, and then overall Atlus was a lot better. Them having Atlus staff there was cool, even though it was only for one day. The one thing that I hated about that was I did not get to meet or get signatures from Hashino or Soejima, and that's because of the way that they did the ticketing system. Usually for Anime Expo, you go in a line and you get a ticket, and then you get to go get the signature. This year, you had to have the app downloaded with a notification for when the tickets would go on sale, and then the tickets went on sale like silently. They didn't announce it anywhere.
Oh, you had to buy the tickets for their signatures?
So that's the thing. It didn't go on sale. It literally was a free ticket, but you would buy it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd have to have the app. Then the app would open up access.com or whatever the ticket system is, and then you'd get your ticket that way. Once you did that, if you were late, you would be on the reserve list and you'd get like a reserve ticket. Then
because they only did 1 day of signatures, right?
Yeah, they only did 1 day, and they canceled the reserve tickets like right away. So I'm like, why did you even have that as an option? But also, why did they do it? This was the only signature that wasn't done the traditional way. So I was super mad because I went in thinking all I had to do is wait in line and whatever. And then people were like, no, I bought my ticket on the app. And I'm like, the app? What are you talking about, the app? So I didn't even have the app downloaded.
Here's the evil thing that they could have done, but I know they would never have done it. Have them sign all 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the app for a free day. All the other days, if you buy anything from the Atlus shop, you get a ticket to sign something.
I actually would have liked that because I did buy something from the Atlus shop. I only bought the Joker plush, by the way.
Someone's gotta sell those stubbins, man. Someone's gotta get those stubbin plushies out there.
It's just because you already know my affinity for plush, but also a very specific cross intersection is like plushes that are kind of ugly. No offense to Stubbins if you're watching everything. I love Stubbins plushes.
Yeah, famous quote from Larrue: Stubbins, the Funko Pops of plushes.
But the fun Funko Pops, not the bad one.
No joke. I have finally. I now can no longer say I don't own any Funko Pops.
What did you get?
Technically my first one that it was ever mine. My wife got me one for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. It was
That's a
like
good
his
one.
80th anniversary one.
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
It's like the showpiece one though, so it's kind of like the bigger deluxe box with like a
Hmm.
little background behind him. I fucking love Oswald, and there's like never any merchandise. By the way, reminder for all 5 people out there: Epic Mickey Remastered coming out means more Oswald merchandise, and I am very excited about that. Even
Yeah.
though I know that is not a good game.
No, it's a great game. It's just the camera is pretty much the only part that I didn't like about it.
I hope they fix it. If they could just fix the camera, I'll huff all the copium in the world and say that's fun.
But
As long as I don't have to play that on my Wii anymore.
yeah, actually, no. There's one other thing I hated, which is the choice system not actually mattering. And then I don't know if you were watching their interviews, but they said for Epic Mickey 2 they're gonna fix that and make the choices very important. And you know,
Yeah, that did not happen. But hey, we got voice acting in musicals.
yeah, the voice
Everyone
acting.
loved that.
I actually love the voice acting. I did hate the musicals. I was one of the many people who didn't like the musical. But
Listen, I'm just glad Warren Spector's getting a paycheck somewhere out there. That's all I needed for it. But
yep.
yeah, the animation nerd in me was happy about that. And recently, the like Luffy gear fight. Because I know you're not a One Piece fan, but have you seen like the like kind of like Bugs Bunny looking like
Yeah,
rubber
the
hose
white
animation?
Luffy, right? Not white haired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a Funko Pop of him, and it looks because he's so overly cartoonish already in his stretchy proportions that looked good. I was like, I gotta get that, just because it was like
Oh.
it didn't have the hideous like eyes, and it had the pose. I was like, all right, man, it's like $10. I can enjoy this in my life, and I don't regret that.
Okay, that's fair. I for the record, I don't. It's not that I don't like One Piece. It's that I just hate long shows. So I
That's
did.
why you gotta watch the live action one.
I started the live action one, but I'm like, this is gonna like if it's gonna get canceled. I can feel it in my bones.
No way, dude. If
I
that show got canceled, dude, here's how down bad I am for that live action show. They did like a little like promo teaser that was literally them all just meeting up in South Africa to start filming the new season. I got teary-eyed watching that. I'm like, this is not a healthy reaction.
for the record, it is like super good on almost every conceivable front. I just don't like that. I know it's gonna be long, and like it's just annoying. I don't know what it is about long anime, long manga that is so off-putting. Even long shows, I don't like the idea of it. Something about it is like not for me. But what were we talking about before we started talking about Oswald and?
Epic Mickey. We were talking about like picking things up in the signature line. I gotta
Yeah.
ask though. So, did you at least get the metaphor poster they were handing out?
No, that's what I didn't get.
So they gave out 11 by 17 metaphor posters. It's really nice too because there's like it's only the logo, so it's really clean version of the box art.
Mm-hmm.
The other one with it though was what I wanted to ask: what would you have gotten them to sign?
Well, for me, I have those little those like Japanese signboards with characters on them and stuff, and I have some that are blank. What I wanted for Sorajima to sign a blank one, but I wanted him to draw Doraemon because that was like his childhood like favorite.
Yeah, like that would be like a cool, unique one too. Because God knows he never gets asked to draw that.
Yeah, and I think that would have made him like laugh or at least be like, oh yeah, like you're a stalker, you know too much about me. So I would have wanted that, and then for Hashino, I probably would have had him sign Catherine because I know that he made that, right? I think he made that. He made
Yeah,
that.
he was on the team.
Yeah, so I would have had him sign like the original collector's edition of Catherine, the PS3 version because it's the better one, the better box art. But
So the boring answer, if I was there, I would have had them do the journal.
yeah,
The smart answer, if I had time, is I would have brought my PlayStation Vita physical copy of Catherine Full Body and had them sign it.
they'd probably be super impressed that you had it too.
They'd be like, "Holy shit! It's the last game we made."
Yeah.
Oh, how is that game 5 years old, by the way?
Yeah, I don't like to think about time actually.
I like to think about the fact that Catherine Full Body is on PC. Catherine Full Body is still not on PC, but is on every other fucking platform.
It does feel like a weird punishment because, like, why? But also at the same time, I do prefer the original Catherine. I'm probably one of the only people that does, but
I mean, well, I guess all the things they remove in Catherine Full Body though, you could still do on you could easily mod back into the PC version.
that's true. Actually, that's very true.
I'm still butthurt about them removing the Megaton songs on the jukebox for physically no reason. There was still space on that. They still had space.
It was just out of hatred for the fans.
The hate, much like removing the songs from Spotify, it was a personalized attack.
Yeah, they're like, there's 5 people that would be very upset about this.
By the way, I completely forgot about this. I always forget one of the funny bits of credit for Hashino. He is credited for 3 things in Catherine, besides director and producer. Do you remember what the third is?
Don't tell me he's like a voice actor, like the sheep or something.
Close. He wrote the lyrics for the vocal tracks.
I didn't know. I don't even know how to feel about that. I actually want
to. Now, I think it wasn't for all of them because there's not many. I think it was for the opening song one.
Oh, okay. But even still,
a weird credit.
Yeah, I mean, he probably just did it just to have it on his like resume.
He was actually the ghostwriter for Benjamin Franklin. That's who he was.
That's his pseudonym.
Anything else before we do some questions and get out of here?
I feel like there was something, but yeah, we do have to start wrapping up. I want to sleep at a reasonable time.
All right, we have got... I'm just going to go from first to last ones I've got in front of me. First question comes from Twitter. This is by Rukia. Do you think the series will have a specific religious focus, like they did with the DDSAT? What religion do you think they would explore, and what would make Law and Chaos more appealing and neutral, not a definitive/best option similar to SMT5?
Are they asking about metaphor?
I think the religion is for metaphor, and then the assumption is that because there are multiple endings for metaphor, but metaphor has not confirmed, and I'm going to assume, especially with the way that the game is structured, I would be very shocked if there's only law, neutral, chaos. I think there are way more. I don't think they're going to copy that over.
Yeah, okay. So for the first thing, the whole specific religion thing, I don't think it's going to be religion so much as it's going to be like social commentary thing. Because even during the panel, one of the things that Hashino was like pointing out was that like the monsters are humans, and I'm like, okay, so that like that's obviously some sort of like commentary about humanity or human nature or something.
What will be the Donald Trump allegory and metaphor?
What will be? Yeah, there's gonna be this. And then for the other one, I also don't think they're gonna do law, neutral, chaos. I think they're gonna probably do like two normal endings and like a true ending, or like good, bad, like true ending. I don't know if that's like too simple, but it's kind of hard to know because I didn't even know there was multiple endings till you told me just now. So
yeah, so we know there's multiple endings confirmed, but we know there's not a morality system like with law and chaos and stuff like that. So your character relationships will change, but like a good example, we don't know that there's a way to reverse a bond. Once someone's in your party, there's no system that we've been introduced to yet that will upset. Like there won't be a thing that's like, oh, you aligned yourself with the dwarves, now the elves don't want to be with you anymore or anything like that. So like we don't have anything like that we're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Going into religion, I think instead of looking into religion, I think they're going to do more of nationalities. I think they're going to take the world aspect of it a lot more seriously in that attempt of looking at cultures, looking at other nationalities, looking at other races, and kind of using that as an allegory to our own world. Of instead of having people who are black, white, Asian, Hispanic, we're going to have different races in fantasy stereotypes that will mimic the other nationalities we have in our own world.
Yeah, yeah, I can see pretty much that's kind of the vibe I'm getting in general. But also, yeah, it's just the idea of it doing even the Law Neutral Chaos doesn't really make sense within the little story that we do now, because it's about like trying to basically become the new king, essentially.
Yeah, and I think kind of going into your point of different endings, I would say at the very least drastically different endings. I would be excited if there are at least three major ones. One where you are elected,
Mm-hmm.
one where you fail, and then the one that I've been secretly hoping for, and this again, this kind of goes to the like how crazy long will the story get. I would love for like the equivalent of the true ending is you are elected, but you have slighted so many people along the way that you then have to oppose a coup.
That'd be kind of interesting. Or because I'm just also curious about that, like, because I'm looking at the GIF that you had posted, and it looks like the handshake is with the guy who wrote the book that you're reading. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be an ending tied to that. That's like somewhat separate from the main theme or whatever.
It does make me excited at least to know that as of now there won't be like an ending locked behind get all bonds in one playthrough, like
Yeah.
anything like that. Like that will at least make me a little bit more happy.
Yeah.
Another follow-up question we've got from, let's see here, from Dementis P7 says, what is the most expensive piece of merch you bought at Anime Expo, and have you seen more or less people interested in Megaton over the years at these meetups?
Geez. Okay, so that kind of sucks because I only spent like $100 this year, which is the lowest I've ever spent.
You spent more on the ticket to go to the event than to buy anything.
Actually, yes. So the most expensive merch I bought was my ticket, my badge. But in terms of like singular price, I did buy the Sanshi Teddy, the round ball one. It's like $40. I'll be honest, like with merch at Anime Expo, I usually only go for like things that I don't have, and things that are exclusive, or things that I know that I probably wouldn't buy otherwise because of stuff like shipping or whatever. And so there wasn't really any figures that I saw that I was like, oh, I want. And since that was one of the Mega 10 things I didn't have, and I love the Sanchi plushes a lot, I was like, okay, well, I'll buy that. And then in terms of the meetups, it's really weird because this year we had like a Toki cosplayer, and which is always like we always get at least one somewhat obscure. Toki's not that obscure, but we always get like one. Like there's a year where someone cosplayed a DX2 character, which is super random because no one likes DX2, but there was one of those. I think that it just comes and goes because the passion that people tend to have is for like just being there, and I know they know Megaten because a lot of times I was cracking very specific Megaten jokes that you would only really understand if you were like a fan to the level of like me or Spencer, and that's just the kind of people that get drawn to it. I think that this year was like a weird instance where there was a cosplay meetup the day before and people went to that. And then also people were like, I don't know if I'm going to go to the Persona one or the Mega 10 one. So this year was a lower turnout, but the passion level was about the same as always, I'd say.
I think another important note to put out there, it's really unfair to compare the meetup attendance this year versus last year when there was this giant concert that brought so many of us out there who would normally not go.
Yeah, I had people who I knew online for years who live in like Chile or like Europe come and were like, oh, hey. And I'm like, what? Would have never thought I would see you in real life, but okay. And of course, everyone I meet from around the world is always taller than me. Like my first meetup with Spencer was me looking up at Spencer and be like, hey.
You were the only person who will ever say that about my height.
Well, I think it's because I'm such a below average height Like I'm not.
Listen, your body decided it's going to grow widthwise with your muscles. That's where it's growing. It's growing sideways.
Yeah, which is that's nice in its own way. But I wanted, Gattaca, that movie where the guy like wants to become an astronaut or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to get that surgery where he did where he extends his legs a little bit.
I'm glad that's your go-to and not that awful episode of South Park where Kyle wants to become a basketball player.
Okay, that would have been a better reference, actually.
I do want you to know, though, because I have not ever seen your significant other, I do just think of them as comically taller than you, so they're like 7'2" by comparison.
No, I looked out and found someone shorter than me, so that's good.
Oh, man, California, I bet that was fucking hard to do. Man, California, there's a lot of things here. Just not a lot of people under five. It's just so hard. Can't find them. Let's see. Let's wrap it up with a question from Wolf. Wolf says, do you still have any Nahabino plushies? Asking for a friend who needs to feed his family.
No. So I have extra ones, but the extra ones are ones that I was supposed to send to friends like last year, and I just am very lazy. Like that's why I literally what I'm telling you, Spencer, I will give you a bag if you come to Anime Expo. It's not even to incentivize you. It's because if I say I'm gonna send it to you, I probably won't send it to you till July. So it's better if you just show up.
I don't think we've talked about this. Are you interested, or do you think you'll try and go to the Game Realms event next month?
No, I mean, it would be something on my. Well, actually, I've been thinking about it because you were talking about it, so I might do it just for that, and then I could give you the bag like during the Game Realms.
So the plan is still to try and go.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not locked in, but I know he's not going to listen this far to find out. There's even a chance that Mac might go.
Oh yeah, he did DM me about that. I was like, I mean, if you want to go, because he was like, "What do you?"
So
Sorry,
his situation is weird. Apparently, like I guess his parents home aloned him, and then like just forgot to invite him to like their summer vacation.
Yeah.
So like he DM'd me one day and was like, "Where should I take a random day trip to? Like what convention?" I'm like, "You're kind of like out of convention season."
Yep.
But I was like, I mean, you could just go to LA for a trip and then just hang out there for a weekend with no convention.
Because that provides a lot of context. Because he messaged me and was like, "What is fun things to see in LA?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Hey, if I was trying to like stalk around your neighborhood, where are some good places to like hide? Like, what's a list of your fears or your work schedule, if you don't mind?
Yeah, and he was just like, but I mean, even that, I'm like, LA is not a good place to go visit. There's like better cities in
No.
Yeah.
Literally, so if I go, I will literally be doing a red eye there in the morning, go to the event all day, maybe eat dinner, and then take a flight immediately back.
Yeah, because to me, the LA things is whatever the event is, and then I do think the food in LA is worth eating. I do like LA food, but I could be biased because I also am forced to eat LA food.
No, you're not wrong. It's literally the only reason my wife would want to go with me. Like I had to explain to her, like, honey, if I go to this, you will be bored out of your mind. There is no like I know that I love spending time with her. There is no way I could make an SMT V meetup signing be fun for her in any universe.
Yeah, I mean, but I will go. If you guys go, I will go. But I won't go otherwise.
The plan is to go. I've looked at some really dirt seats. I've never flown Spirit. Have you ever flown Spirit on anything?
Yeah, Spirit's like one of the worst.
I know it's one of the worst, but I'm not bringing anything.
Oh, if you're not bringing
I'm
anything,
just bringing myself.
If you're not bringing anything, it's fine. It's only bad if you're trying to bring stuff to or from.
My only question, because I know they're like bag Nazis, do they charge even if you bring like a backpack on your back?
All that matters is that it has to fit into their weird little bag check size thing. That's it.
Oh, that's fine. I've got the most frumpy. It might as well just basically be like those free gross swag bags. Like my backpack, have been using since high school. It will fit anything. I would put because you got to remember, I'm not even gonna bring clothes. Probably, I'm literally just gonna like stuff a couple of SMT steelbooks in there and some tchotchkes to give away and a
Uh-huh.
phone charger. Like that would be the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Then you should be fine. Now I'm trying to see because does the event cost money or no? I don't know.
No, it's well, actually, hold on. I think there's like a $10 cover charge, but I mean for LA that's basically like nothing.
Yeah, that's like an
Uh,
average day.
exactly. Here, I got a picture for it because I had it sent recently. So yeah, it's a $10 admission charge plus then whatever anyone is charging for any signatures.
Okay, because I think I mean, if I go, the only person I'm gonna have sign anything is Casey. But I think that they'll do it for free.
Excuse me, you're going to have to get a signature from Gustav's voice actor. I don't know
Oh
what
yeah,
you're
that's
talking about.
true. But I don't have any Gustav things. I don't want to. I don't want to. If anything,
You need to like find someone on Etsy or like Fiverr to make like a little like crochet Gustav, and then like just have him sign like his like crown.
I would do that. That's worth doing because Gustav is pretty much one of the greatest things that SMT5 has for.
I am so biased. If I want to go there just to meet everybody, I have no interest in having them sign anything. I mostly am like, I want to see Casey again. I've never seen Sean, which is so funny because he lives really close to where I grew up in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So he's basically like a day trip away. I haven't talked to Stuart in forever, and the voice actor for Anansi I haven't seen since I went to college with him. So I'm like, I gotta see this. I gotta see this fucking dude from college I went to school with, who's now fucking Anansi.
Which his voice was good too. I will say that about Vengeance as well. The new voice castings are good as well. I'm looking it up.
I just want more.
Yeah, exactly. $10 and okay, so I will probably have some of them say stuff or sign stuff. I don't know what.
Just be like, hey, can you film a cameo for me? Can you just
Yeah,
here's my phone.
I'll pay Casey like $10 to say Aramasa. Say the line, Casey.
Say the line. Come on.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go. It is literally midnight over here, and I'm need to actually eat dinner. I brought dinner home. Did not eat dinner.
Oh my god.
The Slurpee, let me tell you though, the Slurpee very melted now. It is definitely drinkable.
Well, enjoy that. Didn't I tell you it was gonna be like 2 hours? Look at that. I'm not too far off.
I was like, I actually was kind of worried. We got to point once my wife left, I had to pull it up. I was like, are we at the 3 hour mark? We're almost there, but I was like a little bit worried. But I mean, you like you said before, we had a lot of stuff to go for, and I mean, honestly, we could could still talk about more stuff otherwise for it. Like there's always other little things for it. I'm sure we will bring you on soon once copies start going out for the Nocturne tabletop. I am sure we will drag you back to do some role play with us.
Yes, that'd be fun. Actually, I'm actually really down for that. All right.
So, where do you want people to find you outside of stalking you in LA and sliding into your DMs like Mac? Where do you want people to follow you online?
So I don't want you to follow me on Twitter because everyone gets mad at me there.
Only the best, most uncontroversial opinions on Twitter.com.
Pretty much. Follow me on YouTube, Larrue, and then I also made an Instagram recently, which is going to be like just posting like the trivia stuff and whatever, with no opinions or anything, so no one can be mad at me.
Instagram, the site where opinions go to die.
Yeah, I'm like, how can I get people to look at me without getting angry? I'm like, oh, I know.
Are you still doing? Do you still post on your TikTok much?
I try to, but it's just boring. I don't really like TikTok. Like not for that. But
TikTok is so random, dude. Because we were talking about how like Twitter will be random. Of like, you look at my TikToks and it will be like, here's a video I put a ton of effort into, 15 views. Here's me outside of a Target parking lot, 6,000 views.
It's so random, and I don't really know why.
Their algorithm makes like no sense. I have no idea.
But I like follow my Instagram. I think it's just did you know Tensei, not did you know. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to see just me no with zero chance of being offended at my opinions. Otherwise, yeah.
And what's next on the video front? Since the SMT video is probably pushed out a little bit.
So right now I have like three of them that I'm working on. One is just going over like the history of anniversaries for Atlus. Another one's going over like some of these like things I couldn't figure out the answer to. So they're just like weird mysteries from like different things related to Atlus. Some of them are like obviously like we'll never know the answer, and some of them are kind of like, well, this is kind of interesting, but it's not really worth a whole video. So I combined them all together. And then the last video I'm working on that will probably come out this year is the Persona 3 documentary.
I mean, you might as well just wait till the answer's out.
That's my goal is to release it right around the answer. That's what I want to do.
And then once you release it, they're gonna come out with like a tell-all like Ultimania book.
And then I'll be mad. Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, if you enjoyed listening to this show, guess what? You get a whole lot more of it coming up in the next couple of weeks and other fun stuff going on. Follow us on the Facebooks, Twitter, YouTube. All that stuff will be linked below. If you want to support the show, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/SMTN. $1 and up gets you the show early, giveaways every month, as well as the $5 and up tier. You get the executive producer shout out. Just like Michael Wilson, Belchill, Cosmic Illumi, Budweiser Tall Cans, Carlos Hernandez, Cross Renren, Wenny Jagingas, Gorosero, Solaire, Mirth Mouser, Stephen Yip, and Patrick Dissart did. Thank you all so much. Thank you for listening, because boy, this one was a chunky one. And we only talked about Madoka Magica for 20 minutes just to take everyone back 3 hours ago. Everyone out there, thanks for listening. Thanks for learning with us. Thanks for finding out about albino dog eyes and Crayon Shin-chan and Sanrio collaborations. I hope you learned something. Let us know your weird DX2 collab ideas in the comments below. I would love to hear some really cursed ones, like someone's going to come up with... probably gonna come up with like Nihao Kailan next or something weird. I don't know. Like there'll be something like that doesn't make sense but will make sense in the meantime. But thank you all so much for listening, and have a good rest of your night, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.